Hello and welcome to Funbearable. I am Brad Rohr.
I'm Ray Harrington.
And I'm Chuck Staten.
And this is a very special episode of Funbearable in which we're going to discuss our favorite things from the previous year, which in this case, 2022. That's how it's commonly known.
Yeah, that's what most people say, just to
Yes.
save time.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of emails and messages and stuff about like, hey, you know, Brad and I were doing the Chuck and Brad podcast, and now that's become Funbearable. Mm-hmm. Are you going to continue the Chammies and Brammies? We are continuing the Chammies and Brammies. Here it is. It's the Chammies, the Brammies. Now I pitched, and the R Hammies for Ray Harrington.
Everybody would associate that. Like you could write that on a notepad and just hand it to a random person and go, "Our hammies." What does that mean?
And they'd say Ray Harrington's
Harrington?
best of 2022.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ray Harrington's favorites.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have a? I mean, we do. It could be Rammies, but it just seems like it's more
That's-
fun.
Yeah, Rammies is tough.
Yeah.
Brammies, Chammies, and our Hammies. There is a rhythm. Can we agree on that?
Sure. I mean, same as like chugga chugga choo choo has a rhythm, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sure does.
Why don't we call it that?
I mean,
The choo choos of because we're choosing our things, right?
we could do the Rammies or the Hammies or the R Hammies or the Ray Hammies. It's just
I love the our Hammies.
But if we keep this up next year, we have to do it in Miami,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. We're gonna go to Denny's and we'll get a Moods over
Miami
Yeah.
Right.
with a little old lady who's a Grammy.
Yeah, and so on.
I mean, we could. I'm just throwing this out there, spitballing.
Yeah.
We could just call it the Ammies and take away the ch, the bruh, and the our hams.
Yeah.
That's good.
I
could call the
was
Emmys.
referring it to it as the Funbees. But like it
We
doesn't
could.
it just doesn't matter. I think it's
Yeah.
fine with whatever. But I think once you
Ooh.
get into the this, and this,
Right.
it's like and it turns into like a Dr. Seuss book.
Yes.
That's when we got to go, what are we doing?
It could be
won't
the
fit on the trophy.
It could be the Fammies.
The Fammies?
Which because of Funbearable.
Yeah.
And instead of making, because it's 3 now,
Sure.
it
Yeah.
could be just the Fammies.
Okay. What about the Femmies? That I think could get us in trouble. I think the Femmies could get us in trouble.
Oh, boy.
I'm down for either Ammies or Fammies.
The the Poskers.
Yes.
It's
The
the podcast. No, the podcast Oscars.
Right.
The Poskers. How about little trophies for what we like?
Yeah, I like it.
Welcome to little trophies
We'll
for
think
what we
about
like.
it. We'll think about it. The
Yeah.
Foskers. Huh, no, that's a little weird.
Yep.
Funbearable. Funboskers.
We should have done this off mic.
Yeah. This is why, this is why it's going to take,
It's
we're
either
gonna-
A whole other
It's
year.
either the R Hammies or the Funboskers.
Oh no.
I love Funboskers.
it's like a
Count Funbosker. Hello, my name is Count Funbosker.
just take my blood. Just-
Okay. This was easy. Wow.
So we've been doing this for a long time on the Chuck and Brad podcast. I think it was the
Yeah.
first episode.
That's how we started. Was our best of our favorite of 2008.
Wow.
When
So
we started
people
in
tuned
January
in,
of
they're
2000.
like, I don't know who these guys are.
Right.
But what do they like?
Yep.
I don't know what they are like, but now I know what they do like.
Right.
And people, it's funny because as time went on, I'm like, oh, this is interesting because we're just talking about our recommendations without a ton of
Yeah.
deep diving. But people really do like the
They
Chammies
do.
and Brammies. So
Yeah, we're here.
we're keeping it going. We're going to talk about our favorite things of the year when it comes to movies, music, streaming shows, TV, all the types of
terrestrial.
media. Yes,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
I also give a big disclaimer, and Chuck mocks me for my weak-willed ways. We're not saying this is the best. We're just saying it's our favorite.
Oh, okay.
Like art is subjective, so if somebody out there disagrees
Isn't
with us,
he talking like someone's
That's
like has
okay.
him like backed into a corner? Like,
Yeah.
why did you
Yeah.
say this was the best
Yeah,
movie with a
you
knife?
just
It
said
happens
that-
every time.
You said that like a lawyer in closing arguments in a case that you are frustrated with.
Oh, yeah.
You just did. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
now
all know why
imagine
we're here.
she was white.
Did I say it was the best, or did I say it was my favorite?
That's it.
That's exactly how you said
I rest my case.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that.
You
There
reach
is.
your hand out to like put your hand on another juror,
Yeah.
on a juror,
Right.
and you can just see them go. Right? Just pull their hands away. Is he allowed to touch? Objection. He's touching them again. Sustained.
Chuck Staten, attorney at law.
If you make physical contact with a juror one more time, Mr. Rohr, you will be held in contempt.
Held, huh? Now who's the one contempting? I'm not a lawyer.
So so we're gonna talk about our favorite stuff of the year. It's a fun
do
way
it.
to get into the new year. Is to
Yeah.
say, what did we like? It's a good way to look back with positivity.
Yeah, positivity.
Positivity.
Yeah. Now, here's a small issue. I'm coming to the table. I thought pre-turning the mics on, I was ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm raring.
Yeah.
And then immediately it hit me and I'm exhausted. And from what you have described of this process,
Yeah.
it is a slog? Because there's a lot.
I think it's less of a slog than previous. We pared down some categories.
Yeah.
We know what categories we're doing. And,
But
and,
I
you
see
know.
on one of your index cards it says best fitting pair of pants for the year.
favorite fitting
fitting.
pair of pants.
They're not the best.
Oh, okay.
The
They
world
just
has
the-
agreed.
they're just the
It's just Brad's favorite.
Pants that say you could do better.
Yes.
I don't think it's a slog because it's all stuff that we like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's all positive.
I mean, there's stuff I like, but if I just did like 3 hours of talking solely about that thing, I think people could be like, all right, we get it. You like that show, Red Dwarf.
that's what we thought, but the results.
No,
are
I'm not being negative about this thing.
I mean, category number one, favorite cereal marshmallow division.
Oh, no.
And then in parentheses again, marshmallows only.
Now I have a 7-way tie. Yeah. I do a lot of that.
Then we have to get into like a whole thing. Like we have a whole discussion breaking down like what constitutes a marshmallow.
Oh yeah. No, that kind of stuff will happen.
Oh, good. Let me just rub my eyes for about 15
That'll
minutes.
give me energy.
Oh, there we go.
All right, coffee number 4.
Let's do it.
We start with games.
Yes.
Particularly of the video variety. First category,
I did board.
handheld or mobile game. Ray,
I could carry a clue board
You could.
on my lap when I drive, right? The rooms are getting mixed up.
sorry, you don't get to guess. You slid out of the conservatory.
Well, I was in the library, but now I'm in the cup holder. Did
So
they
I
do
guess-
it?
All right, mousetrap, be careful.
Did they do it with an old dirty quarter in the glove box? All right. Yes.
Handheld or mobile game.
So, yeah.
Favorite of 2022.
Man, what if there was a Funbearable clue? That
Oh,
would be
boy.
amazing.
Is it just 3 people, or is Sheila the movie slut one of the characters?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she might be the one who knows if she gets murdered.
I think the
Just murder
victims
me.
could be my
Listeners.
K-Pod group. Can I give a quick update? It's going to take 2 seconds.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to drag this on.
No, it's all right.
Little levity before we get into the list.
Right.
Pre-holidays, I did mention that I was starting a K-Pod group,
That's
which
correct,
is
yes.
Right.
a boy band group for a podcast.
Yes.
Because I feel like we're going to get there.
Yeah.
During the holidays, I took a little time away from the K-Pod Hype House.
Okay.
I told you not to do that.
Right. I left a big bowl of food and water out.
Okay, so they're
So I
fine.
thought they were going to be fine.
Yeah.
I came back. I finally, I took some time. I went over to the K-Pod house.
Yep.
After we recorded the other day. It's not looking good.
Oh no.
The smallest one, Devin, he's the runt.
Yeah.
He died.
Oh.
He died.
Oh boy.
And the other 3 are very upset. Very upset about it.
Understandably so.
So, egg on my face in that case.
Yeah.
I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with the K-Pod group. I will keep everybody updated.
Yeah, keep
we
us
are
abreast.
currently doing casting
Or if you're
for
a,
the 4th member. So if you're very small,
if you're a runt,
or a different word, you can also, because we don't have that one yet.
no.
We don't have,
Right.
how do I put, sassy?
Yeah.
Bitchy, right?
Somebody really bringing the Brad.
Complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all to say, I don't have a mobile favorite.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I recently said on this podcast, delete your mobile game.
Yes.
Because it's a drug.
I have a joke. Can I say my joke?
Please do.
Yeah, please.
If there was a Funbearable clue, it would be
He's still there.
Ray Harrington did it in the basement with a passive aggressive comment. It really would be so fun to do Funbearable Clue, though.
All right, we'll get working.
That
on it.
would be funny. I'm going to work on it.
I said handheld mobile game. I said Wordle. I played it for 9 months of the year, every day. And
loved it. I'm done.
And that was it. But I was done, and then I played it for another 100 days because I wanted to get a streak. And then I was really done. But I did. It swept the world, or at least 10 people I'm friends with on Facebook. And
it did. It really did.
Yeah.
Sweep
So
the world,
handheld mobile game Wordle.
I was playing a similar version because they had a lot of offshoots.
Yes, they did.
There was one that was about store brand breakfast spreads and comfortable cushiony toilet seats and things like that. It was called Myrtle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was for old ladies.
Yes. I was wondering where you were going with that.
I was trying to think of old lady things, and I came up with spreads and those seats. You know those seats?
Yeah,
Where
the
you
toilet seats.
Where
Yeah.
like an elderly person lives in the house. I remember this with my grandmother on my dad's side.
Yeah.
I was there and I sat down on that seat as a child, and it was the first time like I sat down and then it went
Oh, yeah.
and like I slowly went down. I'm like, I don't like there's pee pee and poo poo all over.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a waist pillow, and I don't like that.
A
Right?
waist pillow. I like that.
That's what it is.
It's a good
It
way
We
of
should
describing
change
it.
the name of the podcast.
So I don't really do mobile games,
Right.
Yeah.
But I do handheld games.
You do
Occasionally.
Sunoco
Yes.
games.
I do, yes. And I bought this tiny device this year that you guys have both seen, which is like a little Android
Vibrator.
tablet
Oh,
that,
yes.
has a fold in it. It's one
Yes.
of those new foldable tablets.
Yeah.
And when I went to Florida with my family, I watched She-Hulk on the top screen.
Yep.
And I played Mario Kart 7 on the bottom screen.
The
pretty
way
great.
Martin Scorsese says you should watch
Yes.
entertainment.
And that's what I did for all of my plane traveling.
Yeah.
And I beat Mario Kart 7. So technically, it was my favorite handheld game. I held it in my hand.
There you go.
Perfect.
It works.
Perfect. How about a retro game? Chuck, what was your favorite retro game?
My favorite-
of 2022.
My favorite retro game experience actually happened with two boys in this room. Three, actually. And it was when the three of us sat down with our good buddy Andrew Chavone, and we played through the old arcade games Growl and Vendetta for an episode of Funbearable that hasn't come out yet, that will be coming out. And I thought that was very fun.
Yeah.
That was my favorite retro game experience.
Very similar. I had Ninja Saviors and 64th Avenue Detectives, two games that Chuck and I played kind of in between our back surgeries, right around there.
So we like to get together
Yeah.
and play old weird beat 'em ups, which
Yeah.
is where the concept came from for the Dude Let's Beat
Yeah.
episode that we recorded of Funbearable with Chavone. And we often get together, and I'll be like, Brad, I found a new crazy old game, and we'll sit down and play it.
He
and
sent
laugh
me a
at the
YouTube
night.
video of one today. This
Roddy
morning.
and Kathy.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's called.
Roddy and Kathy?
Is it called that?
It's something like that.
Is that a retro like 8-bit game about a catheter?
It is not.
No.
Thankfully.
And the insert pipette?
Yes. And
And the two characters are like Toe Jam and Earl, and they have to go through like
the
their
catheter
mini
has
and go
been
through a hospital.
inserted too long, and that's where Roddy comes from.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite retro game, Ray?
I don't play a lot of retro games.
Right.
I prefer like a single player story based kind of thing
Yep.
or,
Yes.
or open world thing. So I would say that my favorite retro experience
Yes.
was the Dude Let's Beat.
Nice.
Yes.
And then I also did play a little bit of throwback stuff with my son.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit of Super Nintendo and stuff like that. But I'm not really a retro game
Right.
guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Favorite multiplayer game? I put down TMNT Shredder's Revenge, which came out this year for next gen systems.
Yeah. So when the new Ninja Turtle beat 'em up throwback came out, which like swept, like basically they planned on trying to move a certain amount of copies, and they sold way more than they expected. The game is like, the aggregated game score is like an A.
Yeah.
Everyone loves it, but it was actually a 6-player side-scrolling beat 'em up. So the day it came out, I made sure to be back in Rhode Island, and we played through it with 6 of us that night.
Right.
Remember? And man, that was also my favorite multiplayer game, with the runner-up of the time that you and I beat Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, yeah.
When I was getting out of my back surgery earlier this year, which you forgot on your game list.
I sure did.
Yeah, but the Turtles game is incredible.
Yeah.
the new one.
I love it.
Weirdly, I wrote it down on my year in review list, but I didn't write it down. I didn't put game next to it because to me, it was an experience.
It was more than a game.
It's more than a game.
Excuse me, waitress. I just wanted to let you know this cheeseburger, it's less a burger, more an experience. So if you could let the chef know. This is a Chili's, so I don't know about a chef, but I'll let my assistant manager know. Okay,
We do have a very frustrated 15-year-old behind that wall.
I don't know, Todd. He said it was an experience. I just give him $5 off the check.
Give him a lava cake and get him out.
By the way,
Tell him he can take any of the fun stuff off the wall.
By the way, that's us sitting in the booth, and we can just hear him.
$5. Yeah. I'll say me saying that a cheeseburger is like if the waitress is attractive,
Yeah.
I am definitely the type of person who would say something like that.
Okay.
I'm
all
just
right.
and just have no control over my brain or mouth and just be like, this is more than a cheeseburger, it's an experience.
You do kind of like talk to attractive waitresses, but the stuff he says just makes you sound like a lunatic.
Oh yeah.
He'll be like this. He'll be like, I will have the cheeseburger, but no mayonnaise. I'm from Indiana where we hate mayonnaise. You really do that.
I don't do the hair flip.
Hold on. Why
He
did you
does
turn
that.
into you just turned into Hank Azaria from The Birdcage when you just
Look, okay, well, you do it to Ray. Do it to Ray. You do it.
I will have the hamburger. Could you just make sure there is no mayonnaise anywhere near there. I'm sorry, I'm from Indiana. We hate mayonnaise there.
I will say
It's like that.
I will say during that process, far less
Flourish. Flourish.
It was ticking up to what I would I guess
A hate
the
crime.
only way is flaming. Right? I think that's flamboyant.
Yeah,
very
flamboyant.
Yeah,
flamboyant.
no, I'm not.
Which means floating flames.
Yeah.
But no, what I did notice was that during that little reenactment
Yep.
that we saw from you, your shoulders were trying to swallow your head.
Yeah.
Right? Like they were
I'm telling
really
you,
trying
yeah.
to swallow your head.
I mean, Chuck got a full plate of sour cream as a side once. So, and not a bowl.
Oh, you want to play
plate.
this game?
No.
One time we were at a cheeseburger place.
Oh, no, we weren't.
This isn't it. This is it. We got to do our list.
And Brad turned to the waitress and he said, "Can I have a budget cheeseburger?"
What is a budget cheeseburger?
It's true.
What is a budget? What
It was just a smaller cheeseburger. It was like January 3rd. I'm cutting calories where I can. You can get a big cheeseburger, just labeled a cheeseburger,
Yeah.
or a smaller cheeseburger, a normal size cheese, a healthy size
That's called a
cheeseburger.
children's menu cheeseburger.
It was
right?
called a budget cheeseburger on this menu.
It really was.
And so I was like, I'll
that's
take
just a bad menu. That's not even your fault. That's just a bad. No one should have budget
all right.
on a menu at a restaurant.
So I agree with that. However, Chuck claims that it didn't say budget cheeseburger anywhere on the menu, that I asked if there was an option. Not true.
Was this a rental car company restaurant that you were eating at? Yeah. I'll have the Alamo, please. Boy, I feel like this podcast, it delights me when this happens, but I do feel like there's a good portion of this podcast where you are the Carl Pilkington of this podcast.
A little bit.
Not in the way that where it's like, oh my God, this guy is an idiot.
Right.
It's more just discovering the things I don't know about you that
Yes.
Chuck already does.
Yeah, I'm quirky.
And it's very
Yeah.
exciting for
Fun.
me. It's very exciting for me to have a new person to tell these secrets that are in my soul.
Yeah,
share
yeah.
them.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
My favorite multiplayer was
Thank you.
Star Wars, Lego Star Wars. That was it.
Oh, it's good.
I played it with my son.
Yep.
I will say I waited forever for the Lego Star Wars Skywalker saga
Yeah, like the
to come
complete-
out.
right.
It's all of the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each of the movie games.
Yeah.
And we had played Force Awakens, Lego
Okay.
Force Awakens, and really enjoyed it. So early in the pandemic, we found out that this game was coming out.
Right.
And we had played through so many of the Lego games because that's perfect to play with a small child,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
With a young kid, 5, 6,
Yeah.
7 years old. That was great. And we ran out of the Lego games. We played through all of them, especially during the pandemic. And
Yeah.
I talked to you about them. And so we heard about the game. And my son was so excited to play it. It's like all of them are coming out. It's
Right.
going to be great. And then they delayed it, and then they delayed it,
Yeah.
and then they delayed it, and it didn't come out for like an extra year and a half.
Yeah.
And it finally came out, and we blew through that game. The Lego games, if you have a child, are
Right.
so good to play because they're not too complicated.
Right.
They're engaging enough as an adult to enjoy the gameplay aspect of it. But it does a really good job of, for multiplayer stuff, allowing the adult to do some of the more complicated stuff.
Yeah.
And let the kid still feel like they are 100% involved.
Right.
Because I've played other multiplayer stuff with him where
You just got to take the reins.
he's playing for a minute and then he's just like, okay, you do the puzzle and do the thing and I'll
Yeah.
wait, you
Yeah.
know, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was mine.
Nice.
Good.
Good.
Favorite game for a Nintendo system? Ray, did you have one for that?
Yeah, I'm late to the party. It didn't come out this year. But
okay.
I've already talked about it. Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Huge fan of that game now. My son is as well. We played it simultaneously, not together, but simultaneously. He got it because I got it for him because I thought he might like it, and he fell in love with it right away. Perfect, great.
Right.
And then he needed a little help with one of the boss battles.
Right.
I jumped in, and I was like, I kind of like this. I want to play.
Yeah.
Right. And so I started playing.
Yeah.
It's so fun and so engrossing, and like it seems like a simple, straightforward thing,
Right.
but the mechanics involved with it are so deep that you can do so much in the game
Right.
the way you want to do it and things like that. It is a joy to play.
Yeah.
And I love it. It became, I found it this year, and it became almost immediately like top 3 video games
Yeah.
of all time for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Can I give you a little interesting side note?
Yeah.
A lot of times I think of, Ray and Brad as like my little guys.
Thank you.
You know,
What? I'm fucking shocked.
they're like
Yes.
little guys. And
Uh-huh.
I was driving one day in New York, and I got a call from Ray earlier this year, and he said, "Hey," and I said, "Hey." He goes, "I had a lot of fun playing this game. I forget what game you played before Zelda, but you had a lot of fun playing it. Whatever it was, Fallout, something, Far Cry, maybe something like that."
I don't know.
And he said, "So I've been thinking about trying another game that's as fun, but it's gonna be hard to find a game as fun." And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I talked to Brad, and he said Zelda Breath of the Wild is fun. Do you think that's fun?" And I'm like, "I think you're having a good time, big guy." And you said, "Oh, okay, maybe I'll get it. Thanks, Chuck." And you hung up. And I was like,
Your reenactment sucks.
"Okay,
Thank you, sir.
no." But I said, "This is gonna be
That's so telling of your own mind.
this is gonna be a bonding thing between these guys."
It is.
And it
Yeah,
is.
for sure.
I
yeah,
was right.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I said, "He's
Yeah.
gonna have fun." And so,
Yeah.
I had a hearty chuckle.
All right. How did me liking Breath of the
I remember
Wild
I took
turn
a-
into Chuck, who hasn't played it, is like,
Yep.
I really did a good
I
job
took a
with my
nickel.
son, Ray.
I took a nickel and I put it in his front pocket. Sent him this way.
It's so weird. It's so weird. That is a perfect encapsulation of like the house of mirrors inside your head. You know what I mean?
I'll
It
say
really
this,
is. A
you know-
therapist could take the last 3 minutes of this podcast and fucking get a PhD on it.
I got 5 licorice whips from that nickel. So
Here's my non-funny podcast filter version of that.
Yeah.
When you called me and you said, like, I don't know what game to play next. Brad said Breath of the Wild. What do you think? And I was like, I actually haven't played it yet.
Right.
But I bet you would have fun playing it. And I was happy because I
Oh,
am.
no, it was for Finn, not me. When
was
I
for
called
both
you,
of
I
you.
was asking.
It was for both of you.
No, it was just for Finn. I swear.
Really?
Yeah, I asked about it because it was on the Switch.
Yes.
I hadn't played any Switch games.
Yeah.
I hadn't touched it. I
Right.
had
Yeah.
no interest in it.
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch is just a thing. It's not for me. I don't
Right.
like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like a lot of what they provide. Like I'm not like a Mario player anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the old Mario, sure.
Right.
But I'm not like, ooh, I want to play that. They're good.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not what I look for in a video game.
Yeah.
So I remember calling and asking about that
Yeah.
because the person you were with had played it
Yeah. I think it was
and
Lindsay.
was recommending. Yeah, and I was asking, is it okay? I remember specifically, I asked you, is it okay
Yeah.
for an 8-year-old to play this?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
do you think he'll be
Yeah.
okay playing it?
I think
Yeah.
I mean this is just my brain, so maybe we remember it differently.
Yeah.
I even thought you were like, I was thinking like if I could find a game that I like too, I could take it when I go out on the road. Switch.
Oh no, this was after I started playing. That was after I started playing the game, and I was like, "Ooh, this could be fun to take
the
with
thing
me."
is that going into this podcast, people might not know. I'm close to Brad and I'm close to Ray, but Brad and Ray were not as close to each other
Bitter
as
enemies.
I was to either of them.
Oh.
so
Yeah.
I thought this was a fun.
I thought we were just like less close.
Oh no.
We're bitter enemies.
Oh, I've hated Ray for years.
Damn. I mean,
So I
I
thought it-
get it, but
so I thought it was a fun bonding thing.
yes.
So it ended up being one.
It did absolutely. Yeah.
And you got a lot of use out of those nickels.
Yes.
So that's
And my
good.
son now is a Zelda fanatic.
Does he have the Hyrule history book with the timeline and all that
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah.
Wow.
I got him all the Zelda stuff. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite Nintendo game that I wrote down was Super Mario Strikers, which was one of 2 new Switch games I played this year. So take that, Metroid Dread. Quit being so hard.
I wrote down a game that is not exclusive to Nintendo, but that's where we played it. Brad and I played through the game Savage Halloween.
Yes.
Which is essentially like an old school NES style shoot 'em up where everything is based around Halloween. And you're like a Pumpkinhead character or a werewolf or a
I don't even
witch
know.
or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Charlie Brown.
Yes.
And you play
get a
through this
rock.
whole thing to get to Dracula's disco.
Yep.
And it's fucking hilarious and awesome. It's like if we were able to make like one with a lot of comedy in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And we had a ton of fun playing.
was a
through
great-
it.
a great
and that was
time.
my favorite one. We played it. and I wa-
Also great party too. Have you been to a Savage Halloween party? Fred Savage's Halloween parties are phenomenal.
Not allowed.
But it was fun because I wanted to play it during like the Halloween season. And I didn't think we'd have time, but we did end up having
We did
time.
have
It was
time.
a great night. Corey came over. We had s'mores. Remember that night?
I do. It was a good night.
Jordan
The
Nash.
It was an
karaoke
experience.
at the Fred Savage Halloween party sucks though, because everybody does. What would you do?
What's the next?
It's whatever the Boy Meets World theme song is.
Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
I can't really do it. It's not really.
I don't
a
know
song.
what it is.
That's what it is. It's like
When this
boy meets world, when this boy meets world,
Yep.
gonna have some fun and learn about.
Is there another
life.
Savage? Is it Fred and Ben? And is there another one? Is it like the Mannings
oh,
with
you know
Peyton,
what?
Eli, and Cooper?
I will say this: first couple seasons, it was just an instrumental weird song.
Oh, okay.
So then later it got to that when they got to college.
Oh, like when Roseanne had John Popper all of a sudden after 6 or 7 seasons.
Right.
Do lyrics to the Roseanne theme.
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah.
It's just
she had
harmonica.
the original song.
Yeah.
John Popper
was
for
like
you.
a whole thing, and then John Popper is just like, "Well, we're gonna get stronger."
Oh,
right? And I'm
really?
like, no, we're gonna live longer, and like the lyrics aren't good, and it's just like, I don't know. I think we're gonna last longer than that Great Wall of China, and I'm like. Why did you do this? Why is this here?
What's doubly strange is that he's a famous harmonica player.
Sure,
So why
yeah.
not just come in and have him murder harmonica solo on top of it?
Yeah.
That would be appropriate.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I
Nope,
mean?
Nope. We're doing lyrics to a song that was so well recognized. Like
Yeah.
it was the #1 show for a long time. And then they're like, what if John Popper made up lyrics for it? The Great Wall of China. And you're like, what is happening?
That's so funny.
That's
Yeah.
great.
All right.
By the
I'm
way,
sorry.
that's all right. We know a guy who would go to karaoke nights and he would bring harmonicas, and during like the guitar solos would harmonica.
Isn't
on
this
them.
an amazing villain trait for a comedy?
He's a
Yeah,
villain.
yeah,
Bad guy trait for a comedy brings
yeah.
harmonicas. He had a
And
sleeve.
I don't know if it's a villain thing, but I think it's like a Michael Scott-ism
yes
from The Office.
Yeah.
So he had a sleeve of harmonicas in different keys.
Yeah.
And he'd pull them out and play them at karaoke.
Which key is Cats in the Cradle?
Isn't
Yeah.
that hilarious?
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
When he
that's-
said that,
that's-
I'm like, dude,
is
write
amazing.
that down.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Favorite Sony-based game. Chucky, what do you have?
I didn't
you
write
play
anything
that?
down. I didn't really play a Sony-based game this year.
I played through Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles
Heck
Morales,
yeah.
and I thought
Yep.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Quick runner-up for the game Stray, in which you control
yeah,
a little
that's
stray
right.
cat in a post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Yep.
It's just a short game, 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
But a lot of fun, and you can press a button and make the cat meow. And the first time I did it, it comes out of the controller, the meow sound. So I
Yeah.
have the controller on my lap, cat on my legs, press the button, and the cat's like, what? Like Rosie is freaking out.
Because what if in cat that meow is help?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Or
And
like,
she's-
Danger.
fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about a big,
Ooh, a
bitchy-
sassy one?
Yes.
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Rosie's like, what?
Yeah. What did I do?
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
fuck yourself.
Really specific
Like,
emphasis.
whoa. Yeah, no, Miles Morales was going to be on my list,
Yeah.
but it came out like so
Yeah.
early in the year.
Right.
The Miles Morales game, which is like a 1.5
Right.
of Spider-Man. Can't wait for Spider-Man 2.
Oh, yeah.
Those games are so fun.
Traversal of that world where you're
Absolutely.
swooping around
Yeah.
and swinging. And
I didn't beat it yet, but I probably played through like 60% of it.
Yeah.
And that team, who we've talked about before, they made one of my favorite games, Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah.
They're
It's
making
Insomnia, right?
Insomniac
Yeah.
games, I think.
Yep.
And they're making the new Wolverine game for
That's right.
PlayStation.
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
is going to be amazing.
Although, I mean, Wolverine isn't going to be able to zip around the city.
He might. I will say Sunset Overdrive, the traversal was the grinding from Tony Hawk. They
Yeah.
built it into the game.
And then they changed it and you could do an air dash. And Chuck's like, wait until you get the air dash. It will change your life.
And Brad's like, okay. And I put a nickel in his pocket and I sent him on his way.
Well, and then I got the air dash and I'm like, Chuck was right.
And then we get this game, and Wolverine is curling up and hunching over,
Yep.
squatting, and then getting his own feet on his claws. So he can slide around on that. He's like, it's adamantium. They never get dull. You know,
That'd
it's
be
like-
amazing.
Oh my
That'd
God.
be
And then
fun.
we're like, what is this game? And Chuck's like, this is amazing. If you make him fart, he goes faster.
I did a McTwist with Wolverine.
I would love to do a McTwist with Wolverine.
I just sick Madonna. Oh my God.
wasn't Wolverine in one of the Tony Hawk games as
Tony
an
Hawk 2,
unlockable
I
character?
believe.
Yeah.
That's fun. But yeah, Miles Morales was going to be the
Yeah.
thing. But right at the end of the year, God of War Ragnarok
I know you loved
yeah.
it.
sealed the deal
We talked
for
a lot
me.
about it, yeah.
We did talk a lot about it. I mean, I got choked up at the end of the first one,
Yep.
and I straight up cried at the end of that game.
Okay.
Like I said, the single player, story based
Right.
game is really in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I just think that the writing and the process of that game is so fun. I'm not even a like button mash combat guy.
Right.
I don't really like that kind of thing. But Spider-Man, I think the controls on that, the mechanics involved in it are
Yep.
really satisfying.
Yes.
And the same for God of War.
Yeah.
It is a satisfying thing to play. The challenge is at the right level
Yep.
where you're not like, oh, I died again. Oh, I died again. I died again. Right? Like a Dark Souls like
Right.
masochist player. I don't like that kind of gameplay. I want to feel challenged, but then like, fuck yeah.
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 Totally. I wipe those guys out. And I will say, if there was an award for best feeling in a controller, it would go to retrieving your axe after you throw it in God of War. When that comes back to you, the vibration is perfect.
Yeah.
The animation is great. Like you feel like you just grabbed this
Interesting.
axe. I like that.
HD Rumble.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, I think.
I still have to put the pack in.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm going through so many AAA batteries. That's why they call it AAA games.
Ray, stop picking up that hammer, but I like it.
I do. That hammer's fucking great. It's so good. And I have to say, I think what they did real quick, what they
Yeah.
did with Norse mythology.
Yeah.
What a huge undertaking. We talked about this on the phone, but what a challenge to be like, oh, we're gonna do Thor and Odin and all of like
Yeah.
Heimdall, and we're gonna do all of it
Yeah.
after the biggest movie franchise in the world
Right.
has already covered these things and created these characters, and we're
Right.
gonna make them completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And frankly, closer to the original source material.
Right.
Fascinating. When Odin walks in, Odin is played by Richard something.
Roar, my dad.
Dick Rohr.
Yes.
Medical term. And but completely opposite of what you would expect an Odin to be.
Okay.
An actor from he played Toby in The West Wing, and fantastic actor, but like so much more laid back, right? And he's manipulative. He's not physically imposing,
Right.
at all. It's everything else about him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's fascinating. So
Right.
yeah,
Interesting.
love the game. It's terrific.
It's on the list. Microsoft games. I wrote Dying Light 2.
Yeah.
That was my favorite Microsoft game.
I didn't really put one for Microsoft. I mean, it's weird because like we have favorite overall as the next
Yeah.
category, and the games that I picked for favorite overall are not specific to a console.
Right.
So I kind of just saved it. I didn't put one in for Microsoft, although that's where I played my favorites. How about you, Ray?
I don't have an Xbox,
Right.
So I didn't play any
Pretty difficult.
Microsoft games. I mean, I guess I'll have to wait and see when Fallout 4 comes out
Is that a thing? Is it
in like
exclusive?
5.
Fallout 4 was already out.
Fallout 5.
Yeah.
Is it
when
exclusive to
Fallout 5
Microsoft?
comes out, Microsoft bought Bethesda,
Yep.
and it's likely going to be a console exclusive.
Oh, interesting. I did read about that.
But I mean, we have to wait a long time.
Yeah,
I know.
Long time.
I know.
But in its place, I did include a new category. It's not a joke. Favorite indie developer game.
Ooh, nice.
There you go.
Which, these guys, they're all just like, let's go with the big boys. And I'm like, what about these people? They deserve a little recognition.
Savage
Power to the
Halloween.
people, proletariat. Favorite indie developer game? Disco Elysium.
Oh,
Yeah, you love
yes,
that.
that's
Hachi fucking Machi.
near the top of my list.
You played?
Not yet. But like
Yeah.
as far like I got a game for Christmas from my parents, so I got to play through that.
That's fair. That
Once I
is
get through
fair.
that, I got to remember.
It is. It might be my favorite game of the year. I don't know if I don't have a favorite game of the year.
Right.
But that game is unlike anything else I've ever played. What it's doing is brand new. What it's saying is fascinating, and it's so engrossing. It's the closest I've ever gotten playing a video game to reading a novel. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
is. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a lot of text. It is
Right.
a text-based kind of game.
Right.
But it's so good.
Yes.
And the developer is this weird. I can't remember which country they're from. They're from Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
It's this tiny little company that was a like an artist co-op.
Okay.
That came together. Originally, it was a book.
Yeah.
That was then turned into something else that like flopped. I think
Yeah.
the book flopped too. It hasn't even been translated to English.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they created the game. And there's a whole backstory with the company that they worked with to make the game, the developer, basically owning the rights to this thing and making some bad choices. Ironically, the game talks a lot about capitalism
Yeah.
and what it is. The game is wrestling with capitalism and communism in a post-war area where you are a detective trying to solve a crime.
Right. Yeah.
So it's all sorts of discussion about like big, heavy stuff.
Yeah,
Capitalism,
right.
communism, socialism, all those things. You can acquire thoughts in the game
Yeah.
Of course.
and pick up these thoughts, put them in your branch, your tree, and then wait game time while you mull the thought over and come to a conclusion that will give you a stat boost of some kind.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And those things can be like you can become a fascist, you can become a communist, you can become a straightforward like law enforcement officer.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can be an anarchist, like all these things.
Yeah.
So it's dealing so much with capitalism and what that means, and then the game, the developer, falls into this whole thing of being
Yeah.
like selling out to a larger company,
Right.
and the people that funded it are now like, well, fuck you, we're going to do what we want.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And then the creator being like, well, what happened? Where's
Yeah.
my thing?
Yeah.
And it is fascinating. But that game, Disco Elysium,
Yep.
I don't think I ever would have given it a shot if I saw it on a shelf. I don't think I ever would have done that.
Right.
But I saw enough goodwill coming out of some things like on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do want to make sure to acknowledge that game. Disco Elysium, fantastic. Don't buy it new because then the money goes to the developer who owns it right
Right.
now. Unfortunately, it doesn't go to the creator.
Wow.
So buy it used or buy like a digital something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Buy it new and then donate some money to something that makes you feel better. But it's very cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
Oh,
Wow.
nice. Best overall game.
Yeah, for me, best overall game was Dying Light 2, like
Yeah.
Brad mentioned, with my runner-up being Saints Row, which I put a bunch of hours in before I just got bombarded with work and haven't been able to get back to it. But those are my two top games to beat going forward, and they were both awesome.
I wrote down as an honorable mention. I wrote Tunic, which is by an indie developer, proletariat, power of the people.
Yeah.
And it's weird because on one level it is an isometric like kind of dungeon crawly game, Zelda like, where you go around to get these different items and you fight the boss and there's a story There is a language in the game that is invented for the game. There are secrets upon secrets upon secrets that I wouldn't know about if I hadn't read a walkthrough. Including this puzzle where you find 12 things, but one of those 12 things you have to find 20 things, and it takes you to this website, and you get this message, and it's a lot.
It takes you to a website.
It takes
outside of the game.
It gives you the URL or
yeah, but then you have to go.
Then you have to go to the website, and then like that's a mysterious graphic with a mysterious sound, like all this amazing stuff. And so I was watching a video the other night on like other secrets. There's a musical language where if you like select new game, it plays the notes for that would spell out NEW for new. And I was like, how do people think of all this stuff?
Yeah.
Like to me, I was just like, I just want a story. And I don't know, super impressive, a lot of fun. I have not finished it yet. I have made it about, you fight the final boss and then they transform forms. And I've made it about halfway through that second form. So I'm close.
Is it still intuitive? Like if you weren't Googling, is it still intuitive enough where if you picked it up, like the game satisfactorily takes you through it?
I think so. I think you can do it. You wouldn't get the 12 hidden things or the 20 hidden things.
It's the completionism that takes the
Got it.
look
Okay,
up.
because hearing that, it makes me think of games where I've been playing a really involved game, and I'm like checking out walkthroughs. I'm checking out things to solve an issue or whatever it is. And every once in a great while, I'll be doing that, and I'll realize like I'm not even really playing this game.
Yeah,
I look up what to do, then I do it, then I look up what to do, then I do. I'm like, this isn't fun, and I'll stop playing a game if it feels
I understand.
like that.
I was like, I need to look up how to beat this boss because they're just wiping the floor with me.
Yeah.
And so stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
And then it was this. I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I need another potion because I can't get strong enough to fight this boss. Oh, a 24-minute speed run. Let me watch that. Oh, that led. And so then I just did a walkthrough. But it was fun to navigate the game world. Favorite overall game, though, Horizon Forbidden West that came out for Sony. Sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, Zero Dawn is top 3 for me all time. Forbidden West continues that story.
Yeah.
Same thing. I like the controls. I like the continued narrative. Looks like it's second in a series. And, fighting big robot dinosaurs. I feel like I struggled with the combat in this one more than in the first one, which is probably good in the sense like there was an actual challenge. And then I learned like, I could just set traps. Like one of my skills is to set traps and have the big robot dinosaur step on them. And I just have to be patient instead of like, all right, I'm going to run in and I'm going to stab a giant robot dinosaur with a spear over and over.
A lot of hiding in red bushes.
Yeah.
A lot of hiding in red bushes.
Got to set those acid traps.
I really liked the first game.
Yeah.
I played that. It was a surprise.
Yep.
I was like, this was fantastic.
Right.
This is one of the best of the year that year.
Yep.
And I actually have Forbidden West as a different category. Game I bought fully intending to play and never got into.
Got it.
I got it. I pre-ordered it. I was so excited for the game. And I started playing, and for whatever reason, I was like, whatever brought me into the first one, I'm not getting here.
Yeah.
And it was strange. So it's still sitting there. Like I will try again, but definitely after hearing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that Brad had the same experience with Red Dead 2, and you guys were switched.
Yeah.
Oh,
You just
wow.
never got into it. You just put it
Started
down.
Red Dead 2, and I was like, now I'm playing cards, and that's all I'm doing.
Wow. Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Never
right?
finished
Yeah.
Red Dead 2. Never finished the
story's
first.
great.
Never finished the first God of War because it was too hard. It made me sad.
Oh no.
Yes. What was your favorite overall game?
You say you didn't have one.
Yeah, I didn't have a favorite
Oh, right.
overall. I do have one other category, and,
Sure.
it was favorite revisit.
Ooh, all right.
There you go. That's kind of what we were talking about before we started recording.
Yeah.
I said that about movies. I have
Yeah,
some
yeah.
older movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the game that I picked up that I played forever ago and
Yes.
haven't played in a while.
Yes.
Every once in a while that'll happen. Like I think it might have been tail end of last year, but like the Mass Effect re-release.
Yes.
Yes.
Played the shit out of that. Mass Effect 2 is I think my favorite game of all time.
Right.
Yeah.
But Witcher 3
Yes.
just had a free next-gen upgrade.
Okay.
They upgraded the graphics
Yeah.
for PlayStation 5, Xbox
Series
One
X.
Series
One,
S. Series S.
Series S. Jesus, they got to have
Yep.
better names.
Yeah.
But they just released it. I mean, CD Projekt Red, they shit the bed on Cyberpunk.
They sure did.
But They did a great job.
Good.
They came out with this upgrade. It looks nicer.
Yeah.
They've also done like quality of life improvements to
Okay.
the game where the gameplay is a little more fun. There's a little more going on. The combat has always been dodgy on
Yeah.
Witcher, but whatever. But it was so fun to go back to that game because it's such a deep like role play.
Right.
Yes.
Go through the story. The side quests are the meat of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're so well done and
Yeah.
thought out and written well.
Yeah.
But it's been so long that I forgot a bunch of the game. The only thing I remembered was like the first chunk where you're playing the Bloody Baron side quest.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be like the only thing that stuck in my head.
That's funny.
I don't remember how it ends.
All
and
right.
that's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
To go in and be like, I don't know. And then there was a moment where this character, Uma, came in.
Right.
That is just a weird creep.
Yep.
It's just a weird, like, kind of thing. And I was like, oh, yeah. That's important, right? Like,
yeah.
So it's been really fun. So if you liked Witcher 3, I would recommend
Worth a revisit?
Take a revisit on that.
I have a revisit too, actually, that kind of made it in just under the wire. This is really funny. I watched like a lot of old school video game stuff on YouTube when I'm just kind of zoning out, and they brought up this ROM hack of Super Mario World, one of the most famous games of all time for Super Nintendo, where someone turned it into like a Christmas version of the game.
Right.
And they were like,
Oh, that's fun.
this is one of the most developed games. It's an entire new game. It's not
Yeah.
quite as long as the first one. And I was like, let me give it a shot. It's so well done. They redesigned every character to be wearing Christmas clothes. Yoshi is like Rudolph with a red nose. Every enemy is
Right.
like from Christmas things. Like some of the bosses are now like the Abominable Snowman, all these
Yeah.
different things. And the whole game,
What's Bowser?
I didn't get to the end yet. I got like, barely to the end.
Grinch?
I think they said in the beginning though that Bowser is taking Christmas off, and it shows him with all the Koopa kids having Christmas.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be not Bowser.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like a new
Grinch.
Right.
There already was a Grinch bad guy.
Oh, no. What if you get to the end and you're like, oh, this game is hugely anti-Semitic?
Yeah.
What if I get to the end and it was me?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, how many people played this? But it's so well done.
Like I said, anti-Semitic.
you can switch characters from Mario, Luigi, Toad, Princess.
Mm-hmm.
They each have a different fireball attack,
Oh, nice.
and you can unlock. This is for Mario nerds, Rosalina,
Ah,
and she has
okay.
a different thing. It's if it came out from Nintendo,
Yeah.
people would say this is one of the coolest things they've ever done going back into their games.
Yeah.
It would never come out because they wouldn't put that time in or that development. But it's incredible. I think it's called Merry Mountain, Super Mario World, Merry Mountain.
I like
Super Mario
that.
Brothers. It's so good.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah, it was
I
great.
want to know what the bad guy is.
I know. It was Abominable Snowman so far, Grinch, and I don't know. I don't think I got to another one.
I'm worried. I'm really worried about that ending. All of a sudden
Oh.
you see, is that a fireball? No, it's a star.
Doesn't look like
It's spinning.
one of the Mario stars.
What is
Yeah.
that star?
Seems
Yeah.
like 16%.
Oh my God,
more
I realize
star-like.
each world I've been collecting a candle.
This is weird. The guy before the boss is Kanye West. I don't like this. All right.
That's really funny though. You have to tell me.
I will. I'll tell you who it is.
Yeah.
It's really, if I send you a YouTube video of the game, you're going to be
Yeah.
like, this is incredibly well done.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me sidetrack for a second.
Sidetrack. We're 48 minutes in on our first category.
Of course.
Yeah.
We're going to do a 5
I'm
episode
happy. I'm
thing
happy
here.
to do it.
All right. I say Koopa. I say King Koopa.
Yeah.
And it's Bowser.
Yes.
What the difference? Why?
I think that what happened was, I wonder if in the first game it was King Koopa with all the Koopas, and then as they tried to make it, they like went forward. They just kind of wanted to define the characters because in the first game it's also Princess Toadstool.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
later she becomes Princess Peach. So I wonder if they just tried to diversify. I mean, in the first game that Mario was the star was Donkey Kong,
Yeah.
and his name was Jumpman.
He was the co-star.
Yeah.
It was right. It was, but he was the protagonist.
Yeah.
but he wasn't Mario.
I like the idea of looking at an arcade
Yeah.
cabinet and being like, that's the protagonist.
But he was.
Do you see that ship that's shooting space snakes? Protagonist.
Well, so his name was Jumpman.
Yeah.
You know, so I
Saving
think
Pauline, I believe.
Pauline.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Pauline was the princess in that game.
She's in whatever the Mario one
Maybe
for
that's the
Switch
first
was.
name of Princess Peach. Pauline
It's
Peach.
a different
Different
character.
person.
They
Yeah.
brought her. They
So-
brought her.
They brought her
that-
back.
that was
She was the
his
mayor
previous-
of New Donk City.
New Donk City.
Well, it's
Well,
like New York City.
Ray played through Super Mario Odyssey with his son.
yeah.
She was
Yeah.
the mayor of New Donk City. When you get into the
she
city
had the big
level,
musical
Oh,
level.
okay.
she is.
Yeah.
She has brown hair. She dances.
Wow. All right. New Donk City.
Yeah.
That's the one where.
What's he got?
Oh no, that's New Jack City.
Yeah, a little different.
Very different.
Little different.
Very different.
Somewhat different. Next category is podcasts.
Moving on to another category, we need some sort of fanfare of like da da da. We're doing it. We're on to the next one.
Yeah.
What kind of budget do we have for like a graphics package?
The same budget we have for all of our graphics packages.
Oh no, we owe money.
Yeah.
We have so much money. Peculiar, pitiful packages is.
Are we doing sound check again? Peculiar, pitiful packages for Peter's parents.
So
R.I.P.
for podcasts, usually we're pretty loose about it, and I just kind of like to talk about the new podcasting stuff. Obviously,
I didn't. You guys, when you sent me the list, you didn't even put podcasts
that's
on
Brad.
the list.
Yeah, that's because usually,
he doesn't contribute to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't. I didn't have a Google form, which is what I
Yeah.
had used.
Well, I
for
don't.
all of
use-
these.
I don't. But I don't. Also, I don't do categories.
Yeah.
I just kind of
Yeah.
be
Talk
like,
about
here's the
podcasts we
podcast I like.
Yeah.
Here's why. That's it. I don't really do like a best or anything like that.
Okay.
So for me, it's. I don't really include the stuff that I work on. So I don't really include.
no, yeah, that would
Tell
be
them
weird.
Steve Dave Tuesdays,
Yeah.
Berbiglia. I was really impressed with the It's Always Sunny podcast this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think they took a really simple concept and turned it into something that is not only successful, which it's super successful, but like the podcast episodes about their original TV episodes are exceeding the viewership of the original episodes.
Right. And thank God you're giving them a shout out because they need this.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that what they're doing is it's really fun. I think it's giving a new dimension to what the show is. And I always looked at It's Always Sunny as kind of the closest thing to a punk rock band making it through to the mainstream.
Okay.
You know what I mean? In
Sure.
terms of like Green Day starting in a basement and becoming Green Day. I think that the guys shooting their own pilot with shitty handycams and getting to FX and now having 20 seasons of a successful TV show
yeah.
is very similar. And the podcast is like an extension of that. I think that they're deceptively intelligent. And I went to their live show in Philly, and it was, again, like the perfect way to do a live podcast. So I really am impressed with what they do.
Yeah.
Did one of them put on like fake nails before the live podcast?
They could have.
And it bombed.
Yeah.
Didn't bomb. Oh, that reel, one of our highest performing reels. You gotta start thinking about reels. Anyway,
What the hell just happened?
he has to think about reels. So
I rest my case.
I also
Click,
got
click, click, click,
into Are You Garbage after Kevin was on our show.
Yeah, of
Kevin Ryan
course.
was on our show. I started listening, and there is something very comforting about these guys
Yeah.
talking about what Christmas gifts they give each other.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so
Yes.
insular.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah. Tom Segura's on. Cool. I'm like, wait, let me get to the hard feelings episode.
Yeah.
That's them when they get mad at each other and they vent.
Of course,
And
yeah.
it's like, I really have been enjoying Are You Garbage? And then, speaking of Tom Segura, Two Bears, One Cave I got into. And it's funny because I don't really know Bert Kreischer's stand-up that much. I've always appreciated Tom Segura, which will come up later. But
That's unfortunate.
but the two of them together really are opposites. And it's as much as you kind of want to be like, yeah, this podcast is blah, blah, blah. Most of the time, they're not really that different. Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer are fucking real different. They're
Yeah.
very different humans with very different methods of coming at things.
Yeah.
And it's a really great mix. And then finally, I've been impressed with Steve-O's podcast. And they just did a thing. Like, he's had on all the new Jackass cast members, and he got a ton of shit for bullying them on the podcast. And he just did an episode acknowledging the bullying, acknowledging his over salesmanship. And he basically, for an hour and a half, he dived into why he became this person.
Isn't that interesting
Yeah.
that happened? This is the first time hearing about it. And it made me think of immediately when we talked about the latest Jackass movie. And my thing, when I said to you then, like, it feels like with the new guys, they're just bullying them because they're the established guys. And it's like, well, you got to go out there and suffer this stuff.
Yep.
And it's like the power dynamic's different. When Steve-O does a thing to Aaron McGahee, it's like, yeah, you guys have been doing this forever. But in this one, it was like, oh, the seniors are like shooting paintballs at the freshmen.
So,
you know what I mean?
They talk about a lot. They talk about
Dazed
some of
and
that
Confused.
stuff. They talk what Steve-O does that is almost would be considered by some to be tacky. Is he talks a lot about contracts and money and agreements. But for someone who has really kind of paved their own way and really come into entertainment in a weird way and really eventually kind of figured out their own solo path. It's really interesting to hear that side of things.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And so when he comes at things like that and he talks about how much money he made for the first Jackass season, or one of the things that he gets criticized for bullying the new guys about is how they don't take advantage of their success, and they don't sell merch, and they don't have a website, and they don't do this. And a lot of that stuff is really interesting where he's like, I'm trying to protect them. He's like, we're all individuals. People look at celebrities and regular people as like there's a wall between them. But it's really the work you do and supporting your family and all this stuff. And hearing him get real about that is so not what anyone does. I've really appreciated that.
Listen, I remember seeing a clip from his podcast. And that's where I learned that Frankie Muniz made a lot of money off of parking lots in LA.
See,
it's like, all right, now I know.
And Steve-O goes into these directions where he kind of talks about the idea of how do you sustain yourself and all these different things. And they talk about Aaron McGahee having like a construction business and buying homes and flipping them. And I'm like, that's a really interesting side of celebrity and, being popular in the eye of entertainment. That is like, we know that this can go away at any time. So the idea of him kind of going in like, so what do you do to like protect yourself, or how do you make money, is interesting. I like that.
And I actually had it out with, I used one of his parking lots, and I had it out with the attendant that was there. They told me I couldn't park where I was parking, and it got heated.
You're off course.
And at one point, I did start yelling, "You're not the boss of me. And you're not so big."
How'd that
Such
go over?
a bad joke.
How'd that go over?
It didn't.
But
they towed my car.
But I really appreciate it. And this most recent episode that he did where he talks about how he became such a salesman and how he's regretting it and how he feels conflicted about making money and all this stuff is super interesting.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
like
something
that.
that I think
That's
that
cool.
probably a lot of people deal with but would never talk about it in public.
Right.
Even if they did start realizing it, I think it'd be very weird to hear someone actually acknowledge it. Which is cool.
I think there is absolutely space for discussion about like the business side of the industry, because all of it's outward facing. None of it's like inward. If it is inward, it's like, how do you like oh my God. Like Dax Shepard will often talk about the process of making on Armchair Expert. Like the process of doing the thing. But he's not getting into the financial side and doing that kind of stuff. And I do think there's absolutely room for that. And I think that's great. I got to start listening more.
It's really interesting. And it's funny because I do deal with this working so heavily with Tuesdays with Stories of people being like, stop pushing the Patreon. And some people just have very ignorant viewpoints where they're like, Patreon, that's bullshit. Why don't you just make this? And I'm like, they had to pay me a lot of money to make the projects that we make.
Oh, dude, that's I mean, that's fucking entertainment now.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's like,
just give me this for free.
Give me the stuff for free. Do more of it, and only the way I like it, or I will get very mad at you. And no, I won't give you $1 a month.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Like that's what it is.
That's the thing. And so we deal with that. And I think that when you do
I made
live
direct eye contact with Brad the whole time, and I'm sorry about that.
when you do deal with
I'm not going to give you $1 a month.
the world of like
We'll see what the
2022
court says.
where you could make a choice. Like we could technically have said Funbearable's new podcast is behind a Patreon paywall.
Yeah,
It's $20
yeah.
a month. And we
Right.
would fail spectacularly.
I don't know if it would be spectacular.
We gotta see,
But
let's test it. A/B testing.
but everyone has to kind of make their own decisions about how do you do that?
How do you monetize? How do you continue to do the thing you do? Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
And so working with Tell 'em Steve Dave and Tuesdays and figuring out that is really interesting to me. So hearing
Yeah.
Steve-O be like, I'm going through the same process.
Absolutely.
And here's what works and here's what hasn't worked is really interesting.
You know what's great? Maria Bamford, stand-up comic.
Awesome.
Fantastic. I love
Hilarious.
Maria
Yeah.
Bamford
Yeah.
so much. She is open about the financial aspect of stuff.
Yes.
She will say right out, this is what I make for this show. This is how much it costs me to travel there. This is what I'm paying my opener.
Yep.
And she's notoriously a fantastic person in terms of paying their opener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get overpaid drastically.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I fully agree. That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
interesting.
It's great. And I like when he stuffs stuff up his ass. too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you want one of his. This is the last thing.
What
I'll
is
say.
it? Oh, it's receipts. Let's talk about it.
So one of the things that was a huge point of contention is that when they asked him to come on to Jackass 4, he said it was the first time in his life where he said no to the initial offer to anything, to
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
involving Jackass. And he pushed back, and for a long time he wasn't going to be in it. And he's like, that was the right decision, but the way I did it, I was a dick, and he had Knoxville on, and they talked through it.
Oh, wow.
Which
Yeah.
is awesome.
No,
That's incredible.
I agree. I think that's great.
And part of his contract was that he wasn't going to do any stunts that risks his brain or his spine.
Wow.
That was written into his contract, which
Yeah.
I think is awesome.
That's we have the same contract
Yes.
for Funbearable.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry. We have the same contract for Funbearable. Yeah. We didn't want to tell
My
you.
brain and spine.
So we haven't come out with it yet, and
Yep.
I guess I'm spoiling the surprise.
Yeah.
But when you got your spine surgery,
Yeah.
did you notice anything funny about the doctors when you went into the operating room that had their masks on? And
Well, they
stuff?
kept giggling.
Were they
Yes.
giggling quite
And
a
I felt
bit?
a weird sense of familiarity.
Was one of the doctors really big, tall, fat?
One of the
Laughing.
nurses kept yelling at one of the doctors to stop touching her. I remember that.
yeah.
All I'm going to say is there's a really fun episode of the podcast coming out soon.
All I'm going to say is you went to Iceland.
When you woke up, did you feel heavier in different areas of your body?
I did.
Yes.
I really like the idea of delivering these things like. Okay, yeah. What's the next category?
Do you have any podcasts that you enjoyed particularly?
I've brought them up on the podcast
Yep.
before, but the Teachers Lounge guys
Yep.
are so fun. I love that podcast. I really enjoy it. Currently re-listening to it. They're great. This year, I did finally start listening to Last Podcast on the Left.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Hugely popular podcast.
Yes.
It doesn't
Yes.
need any help, but I will. They're a lot of fun. Last Podcast on the Left. And I did just listen to a podcast mini-series that was it was no new information, but it was information we already know couched in a new way.
Okay.
That fascinated me. It's called New Gurus, I believe.
All right.
And it was a BBC miniseries, 8 episodes long. It is fantastic. The podcast, just search New Gurus on your podcast stuff.
Right.
And I don't want to get into the whole thing because it could be an entire episode of this podcast. But
Right.
I will say this. The gist of the thing, the thesis statement of this thing was the rise of all of the talking head people
Okay.
in life.
Yep.
Joe Rogan, Jordan
Peterson.
No, Jordan Peterson, thank you. Or even some of the Alex Jones, stuff
Yeah.
like that. And also the other side of it, which is influencers or health and wellness people,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? All of that stuff. This whole thing is hey, this is happening because the internet was essentially brand new, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And now this happened, just like when the printing press exploded and we got all of these things, and essentially said in the early 1900s, late 1800s to the early 1900s, there was an explosion of gurus, of individual experts for your life.
Right.
One-on-one teachers with forbidden knowledge, right?
Yep.
And this whole thing was saying it's 100 years later and it's happening all over again.
Yeah.
And the strife and insecurity that people were feeling
Right.
at the late 1800s, early 1900s is mirroring what people feel now
Yeah.
and why they would turn to gurus.
Right.
But when I heard just the statement of it, I wanted to listen to the rest of it.
Right.
it's no new information.
Right.
However, seeing it that way was like a fucking revelation to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I get it now. I completely get that devotion that people get. I understand how Rogan became Rogan.
Right.
Yeah.
Through looking at it through the lens of gurudom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fascinating. Really,
Yeah,
really
I
great.
think the only solution there's only one solution I can think
Oh, no.
of, and
One of Brad's final solutions.
the
again.
the Archduke Franz Ferdinand is not going to like it.
Oh yeah. But that is a fascinating idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
And it does help you understand, like when you think, like, why would somebody fall for this?
Right.
Yeah,
Right? Why
right.
would somebody fall for this weird thing, a QAnon or or a 4chan thing, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Why would or somebody who's just like, I'm all in on this horrible like wellness thing,
Right.
like women's health kind of
Right.
like a goop based thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. It's gurudom.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're going to give me that forbidden knowledge. And then you wind up, you listen to a few podcasts, you watch a few YouTube videos, and suddenly you're drinking 3 ounces of your own urine every morning to give yourself back the power. Because I don't know if you knew this, but when you sleep, you produce a little bit of semen. So that first urination, there's a little bit in there.
Right.
What you want to do is you want to get that energy back.
You got to
in your
reclaim it.
body.
You got to reclaim it.
And that is genuinely one of the episodes
That
in this
is
podcast.
disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tasty.
Anyway, this episode is sponsored by
Taste-turbing.
Funbearable brand snake oil.
It's morning
oils-
pee.
It's oil from snakes.
And there's like a little graphic, like a Chef Boyardee style chuck.
Yep.
And it just says, there's a little jizz in it. A little jizz in every
It's just
bottle
a cartoon Chuck laying on his back, and there's a fountain.
of jizz going up and him.
Yeah.
Chef boy, oh boy.
There's a cartoon bread, but it's a cloud of dust instead.
No, it's just a way smaller arc. It's all over his stomach.
Restaurants. Chuck always.
So he also didn't put in restaurants, probably.
Yeah, because Chuck's a
No.
fancy eater, and
I just like to say a couple of great restaurants I went to.
couple
Yeah,
great dining
sure.
experiences.
This is just a
I
couple.
I feel like I didn't go out to eat as much because Chuck was in New York for so much of the year, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna, if
Yeah.
if I have a choice between going out and spending money and having an actual nice meal, or staying at home and rolling a hot dog under the fridge and seeing what it attracts.
Such a good example of how you eat.
I like it because it's a nice surprise.
Yep.
Ooh, this one has a moth.
Ooh, one of my cat's spring toys.
Many of my cat's spring toys.
Morning pee.
I haven't gone to eat, but I know you have gone to a lot of places that you have enjoyed.
And I would like to say the reason I don't have a list. Because you're the restaurant guy. You like to
Right.
go out to restaurants and stuff.
True.
I don't have that experience because I have a child.
Yes.
And so when you have a child, the prospect of like going to restaurants,
Yeah.
it goes way down, right?
Yeah.
I will say he's perfectly well behaved
Right.
when we go to restaurants, but he's not like, yeah, I want to try that new tapas.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
You did tell me about the Korean barbecue place you went to this year.
Was that? Oh, if you want to count that this year, for sure.
I think it was this year.
Yeah, and
Den?
Den Den in Providence.
I also went to Den Den
yeah,
separately.
it's so fucking good. The
I haven't gone yet.
Korean fried chicken.
I can't wait to go.
Fuck off all the way into my mouth because it is so good. Don't cut that into a gif, but it's so good.
Fuck
And they're
off all the way into my
Into
and
my
there's
mouth.
a beat behind it.
yeah, but it's so good. And I like Korean barbecue.
You're the new hide your kids, hide your wife.
I like that fat white guy that's like talking about fucking his mouth. I don't know. But oh man, more unlicensed T-shirts. I don't see a dime. You know what I say to them? Fuck off. Right? No, I won't do it again.
They're making my face fatter with everyone. I swear to God.
Damn it! They're doing the thing that they did with Trump. But no, they Den Den fried chicken. I love it. Korean barbecue
Yeah.
is so fucking good.
Yeah.
That and what I've been looking for around here
Yeah.
is a great banh mi sandwich.
okay.
I love banh mi.
Yep.
The best banh mi was this year. I was in Hartford, Connecticut. I was doing a weekend. I was headlining a weekend at
Bears
City
Smokehouse
Steam.
Barbecue.
No, I was doing a headlining weekend at City Steam in Hartford, and I was staying at the hotel next to it.
Right.
And I looked up like, where am I gonna
Yeah.
get some lunch?
Sure.
And I saw this banh mi place pop up, and I'm like, that's not that far. I'm gonna walk over there. It's like it's like whatever, mile and a half, whatever. So I walk over there, and it was hard to find.
Yeah.
It was like a difficult place to find.
Ooh, yeah.
And then I found the place, and it was teeny tiny.
Yep.
And I got 2 banh mi sandwiches, one for lunch, one to put in the fridge for after the show. And I ate both then.
Wow.
They were so fucking good. Wow. And I have not found an equivalent banh mi around here. Maybe we can talk after this.
Yeah, maybe we can look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
We'll
remember
pull out a Goonies style map and we'll
See,
figure it
they
out.
need to have a specific like day focused on specific foods like that where you can try a bunch of them. Because Brad and I went to the Poutine Indulgence Festival. Remember that?
I do.
What the fuck is that?
Well, we covered it as press, Ray.
We were invited as press.
Poutine Indulgence Festival. First off, there should be no festival that has indulgence there. That changes everything into gross, doesn't it? Pick a festival. You could have the Apple Cider Indulgence Festival. It's the Pumpkin Indulgence Festival. So, they fucked those pumpkins. They fucked and then poutine. It's
First
like
of all-
you like a hot mess on a fry. You're gonna love a gooey hot mess here. The
it's-
Indulgence
What I
Festival.
remember, first of all, we did have a lot of great poutine.
We did.
Without a doubt.
You indulged.
We indulged.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that we did it was in like a museum, and there was some
The
art.
Poutine Museum.
There was some historical art that was anti-union, so Brad started ranting, and you got into a fight with the owner of the museum.
They had a portrait of Samuel Slater, and I had just learned that he was an anti-union guy, and I am a pro-union guy. And so I was like, hey, Chuck, just so you know, like Samuel Slater, not a perfect gentleman. He was anti-union. And the woman, one of the docents came out and, spouted her capitalist nonsense at me.
Bourgeoisie bullshit.
So Brad had his bucket of 3 poutines.
Yeah.
He's shoveling it in his
And then you threw it on there like the eco terrorists.
I wasn't going to waste the poutine. I was indulgent. I finished eating and I put it on as a helmet and I charged at her.
It stuck perfectly. The gravy.
I can't. The idea of like, hey,
we forgot to tell
you
Ray.
should eat a lot of poutine. Like the fact that there's okay, take indulgence away. Fine, indulgence is a weird word for a festival.
Yes.
Any kind. It turns it into
I
a
forgot
weird
indulgence was in the title.
sexcapades.
right?
Yeah.
It's sexcapades when you put indulgence in. But the idea of poutine, this heavy hot gravy mess, and it's like, come have potatoes, cheese, and gravy in a variety of different ways.
I wanna say
Walk
there was
around
9,
this place.
12, something
How do you
like that.
I feel like halfway through you'd be like, I want to fucking die right now.
Well,
man.
one of the
No,
things
we were
that
not.
This is one of the things of the podcast that Brad and I have not discussed with Ray. Man, did we throw our name around for press for different things? Holy hell, we got invited to a
Oh
lot of
no!
stuff.
Next year it's like it's a Funbearable booth at the poutine extravaganza.
It was we went to, it was in Woonsocket, Rhode Island.
That's right.
It was at the Museum of Work and Culture as a celebration of Quebecois culture.
Yeah.
Poutine number 1, blah blah blah. It was a piece of trash. We tell all sides of history here, was what the woman said to me.
All sides.
And then I
We tell all sides of history.
and then I said
Steaming pile of gravy.
I said, oh, can I, because she's talking about the portrait.
Such a funny thing to pair with French fries.
I was like, oh, can I have a Sharpie so I can draw a mustache on this thing? And she was like, huh?
I just picture the two of you in the museum, mouths covered in gravy and a cheese curd on your beard, and you're like, the power to the people. You know?
Can I tell you one funny thing? I hate to keep going off in tangents that Ray also probably doesn't know is like, you look at me as you probably think of me as a little bit loose-lipped. Would you say? I might spout some things, even though I'm not sure about them.
I don't know. Loose-lipped is like there's secrets in this.
No, I don't
Be careful.
share
This
secrets.
person is
Yeah, you're right. You're
loose-lipped.
right. Loose lips. Is
Loud-mouthed, maybe.
Well, it's like I might say a thing that's
Boisterous.
obnoxious. Might upset someone. Between Brad and myself,
Yeah.
he has gotten in trouble for saying things 10 times as much as me.
That's
like,
true.
Without a doubt, which
Yeah.
is so strange.
Well, I think it's because most of your stuff is just well-meaning.
Ah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brad's is more critical.
I mean, unions are great.
I'm pro-union as
I
well.
wrote down that we
I'm anti-poutine.
we ate at 6 different
God damn
tables, and then I said, "All right."
6 poutines. What the fuck are you
Chuck
doing?
and I drove back to town, and I know this is hard to believe, but I didn't feel well that night. Turns out that was too much poutine.
Yes!
For one man.
2 forks full is enough poutine.
It was in March of 2019. I'll see if I can get Funbearable on the press list for
Yeah.
2023.
Oh my God.
I've had a lot. One of the festivals that's not festival, one of the food events I get invited to every year is like a really, really like hoity-toity one. So it's all filet mignon, like salmon, like all like really good stuff, caviar. And it's amazing. These food events are incredible, especially because it's the people that care about this type of food.
Sure, yeah.
So the poutine quality was so awesome.
It was great.
It was so good.
I know. It's just the idea of like, let's
I hear
have a large amount of poutine.
I hear you.
Can't
It's,
believe
like,
you.
so
can't believe
heavy.
you're so anti-Quebecois.
I'm just picturing. Well, I am from Maine, so I think
okay.
I'm legally like obligated.
That makes sense.
Coming from Southern Maine,
Yeah.
to have to bristle at the idea of the Quebecois,
Now I'm with you.
right?
I get
The
you.
fucking Quebecois.
Yeah.
They treat Maine like they're Florida.
So-
they come down, they ruin the beaches. They come down with their G-string Speedos for big men who are full of poutine.
Yep.
That's growing up. That's what
Right.
we
I
saw
gotcha.
of that.
Did you? What were your good restaurant experiences
So,
this year?
I'm going to try to get through them quickly. Killmeyer's is a German restaurant in Staten Island that was killer. This is one of the things that's going to keep coming up, especially in the personal category, is that I essentially moved to New York right at the end of last year. So it's really like I got accustomed to living in a new place during this past year.
Yeah.
I wrote an article about Happy Place Creperie in Warren with this guy who is like passionate about crepes, and I learned so much about them.
He sees a pancake and he's like, thinner.
Yes.
Thinner.
No, but like their pancakes.
Thinner.
He's like, he hates the idea of like a Nutella strawberry crepe. It's lunch to him and where he grew up.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really interesting.
Oh, don't tell him about burritos.
Bleecker Street Pizza, awesome. Spumoni Gardens in Brooklyn is a pizza place that I went to that was awesome. It was part of this big pizza day where me and 3 of my friends, Rupert, Tom, and Jimmy the hair guy, all from the Tell 'em Steve Dave camp, we went around to like 8 different pizza places to try the best pizza around
you called
Staten
it
Island, Brooklyn.
Pizza Indulgence Day.
Yeah, exactly. It was great. Darna in Brooklyn, when I started working with Berbiglia, we started getting food from this Middle Eastern place called Darna. Best hummus I ever had. Incredible. Red Dory, I wrote an article about them in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. They were really good seafood. Violet Cellar in Staten Island was killer. I went to the Rhode Island Seafood Festival, and I had never gone before, and I had a great time. Archive in Warren is a great sitting library that serves like elevated snacks. I wrote an article about them, and that place was great. I had a great meal at Avenue N in Rumford the other day, Rhode Island. Nudie's Cafe in Pennsylvania, great breakfast. D'Alessandro's Cheesesteaks in Pennsylvania. Chomp in Providence. We had that great night where they like shut down Chomp and they opened it up after hours for me, for Mark Norman. and well, like not for me, for Mark Norman. They talked to me because I know the chef, Nikki.
Yes.
And Doug Key.
Yeah.
And we all got to go there after the show. And I think James Firth, no?
I don't know.
I don't
was
know if
there.
he was on that show. Yeah.
He was
He was definitely around that weekend if he wasn't specifically there.
He was there.
I brought Ray and Brad to Me Lupita's in Red Bank, New Jersey.
Delicious.
When you guys
Yeah,
came
that was
up.
fantastic,
And that
yeah.
place was awesome.
Yeah.
Beso in Staten Island, went on a great date there. Phoenix Farmhouse in Staten Island. Actually, I took
Is this
Ray
just
there.
a list of all of
No.
the places
No,
you
these are
went
my
out
favorite
to eat?
places. These are my favorites.
You can't have that many favorites.
I don't ever cook at home. It's 365 days in a year, right?
You got to start rolling hot dogs.
Yeah.
Page Plaza Diner in Staten Island is awesome. Yeah, I guess I'll skip. Two new coffee places in Providence that are great. Coffee Connection and Little City Coffee. Angelica's amazing Italian in Seabright, New Jersey. And final thing I'll say, I guess, is Coffee Depot.
No, if you feel shortchanged, please continue listing restaurants. I don't want you to walk away from this going, I didn't even get to do all my restaurants. I only did 49 of them.
Coffee Depot and Cafe Zara in Rhode Island were tied for best eggnog latte of 2022.
Just poutine and an eggnog latte. Yum, yum, yum. Sometimes I forget which one I'm supposed to drink and which one I'm supposed to eat.
Baldwin & Co. in New Orleans was killer for coffee. And yeah, Bayou in Staten Island was great. It's a New Orleans restaurant. It's really, really good. But yeah, a couple other places, but those were the tops. Those were my tops of the year. Angelica's, the one I said in Seabright, New Jersey, up there with best meal of the year, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah, really, really good. And Avenue N the other day was killer.
Nice.
It was just
I
great.
ate at Avenue Q.
Yeah. Different. Waiters.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Wasn't good. It wasn't good. It took forever.
Yeah.
And no one could seem to hold the tray.
Want to do more Muppet jokes?
Yeah.
We
Taka,
just
taka,
did-
taka, taka.
We just did them like 2
Yeah,
days ago,
yeah.
so it's like,
No, but genuinely, if you have other
no,
restaurants,
it's all right.
I don't
It's
want
all
you
right.
to.
It's all good. Albarino's.
All right. Go
Staten
ahead. No,
Island,
do it, do it.
Tapas. Sophia's Taqueria in Staten Island. It was just a lot of good places that I went to that I think it was really fun to learn about a new place and learn about new restaurants.
Yeah.
As well as to come to Rhode Island and learn about new places and revisit old places that I've only been once or twice and stuff like that. A lot of good stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I love it.
Movies is
Yeah.
our next category. Favorite comedy. I went with Chippendale's Rescue Rangers,
Wow.
the reboot, as my favorite comedy.
Your favorite comedy.
That's
Wow.
correct.
All right.
I watched 53 movies
That's
in
fair.
2022.
That's fair.
All right, Ray, what do you got?
I don't have a favorite comedy.
Really?
I don't.
You know what I listed? I listed Violent Night. I mean, there's a lot of places
fun.
where that could go, but I just thought that Violent Night, on top of being an action movie,
Yeah.
was so tongue-in-cheek and so we're going to create a funny, fun experience.
Yeah.
That I think it was the best executed fun experience for me of like in towards comedy. I know it's
yeah.
not exactly comedy.
No, I like that. I mean, this fits is because it's a different category, but it is a comedy.
Right.
I have favorite festival film.
Perfect.
Right, because that's like a different kind of thing. It's
Sure.
not art house. It's this other thing. Like this isn't super obscure.
Yeah.
Triangle of Sadness. It is.
I don't know
comedy.
anything about it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't remember the director's name right now,
Yeah.
but he's made a few other films, two of which my wife and I, we really like these movies. The Square, we thought was fantastic.
Okay.
I'm blanking on the other one, and I feel like a piece of crap for it. But his new movie, Triangle of Sadness, you know, it's not vague about what it's saying.
Right.
But it's a fun movie. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
It's commenting on class and social structure and money a lot. But it's great. Woody Harrelson is in it for a little while. He's fantastic in it. But it's a very fun movie, especially with the discussion we were having about like capitalism
Right.
versus communism and
Sure,
stuff.
sure.
It's essentially the core of it is there's this yacht for the uber wealthy to go on,
Yep.
and then the people that work on the yacht, and then a crash occurs, and that's all you need to know.
All
But Triangle of Sadness, it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
So much vomit, by the way.
I have a
quality
runner up
comedy.
for favorite comedy too, which is the combo of Jackass 4 and Jackass 4.5.
Yes.
Did you watch 4.5?
I only watched 4.
I really think that 4.5 will increase your appreciation overall because it's kind of like a half documentary making of,
Yeah.
as well as a lot of extended stuff. And when we watched it, we were like, wow, there's 4 things in this that we were astounded were
Yeah.
not in the main movie.
Yeah.
Like big stuff that I was
Right.
like, I can't believe this was cut.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was shocked. Remember the thing on the swings?
Yeah.
It was like, what the hell? It was so good. So yeah, that's how I feel.
Favorite documentary. I only watched one, and that was Beanie Mania, telling the history of Beanie Babies.
Oh boy.
We watched that together.
Yeah, we watched
Oh
it
my
like in
God.
January.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
I was like, that's enough. Nothing's beating this.
Wow.
It was pretty fun.
It was
extremely
very fun.
fluffy,
Yeah.
but like
Like-
it's one of those weird things, just like Columbia House, where you're like, what was the deal with that?
Yeah.
And you just want to
Yeah,
find out
yeah,
the
yeah.
story.
Oh,
It's
for
like that.
sure, yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
My favorite documentary was Till the Wheels Fall Off, the Tony Hawk documentary. It was incredible. Rodney Mullen's speech it gives me chills. And my runner-up was Our Father on Netflix about the guy who worked in the sperm bank thing.
Oh, right,
And he
yeah.
kept just putting his own sperm in people.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a funny prank.
If he had been drinking
It's
it every
just
morning,
a funny prank.
It's a harmless prank. I'm sorry.
if he had been drinking it every morning, wouldn't have happened. Wouldn't have happened.
I don't have a documentary.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, I because like I see so many documentaries. I enjoy watching documentaries, and also so many documentaries now, because of the model, have shifted to a short form series.
Right.
I know.
And that makes it really difficult.
I agree.
I would say for just a straight up documentary, it's not, I don't know if I can call it a full on, like, this is a documentary.
Yeah.
But it was right around the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Get Back, the Beatles documentary.
Oh,
Okay.
I heard. Yeah,
I mean, that.
I remember it really turned you onto the Beatles. For a
Yeah,
while.
it was huge. It
Yeah.
was a big documentary. I do think it shines a light on a very specific thing.
Yes.
And it's doing something that quite literally could not be done.
Yes, right.
You know, having access to the biggest band in history
Right.
while they're creating one of the last things they're going to do.
Right.
Yep.
So I have to give it to that. I mean, it's incredible. Plus, it made me a fan of the Beatles. It
Yeah.
turned
Yes.
it from this ubiquitous thing that's always been around.
Right.
Like, I like some of their songs, but they're the Beatles. They
Right.
wrote of course that song is what it is. It's the Beatles.
Yeah.
Right.
This was the first time I went, oh, it's four guys. It's
Yeah.
four people.
Yes.
Human people
Yeah.
making this music.
Right.
It's fucking insane that they could do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice. Favorite drama?
Drama.
Can I give you an interesting little question? We'll just do this for like 10 seconds.
Sure.
For favorite drama, the star of my number one pick is the same as the star of my runner-up pick.
Interesting.
Any idea of who it could be? It's pretty weird. They're two very different movies, but they're both kind of dramas.
Both kind of dramas?
The first one's definitely a drama. Second one is dancing on drama comedy.
I don't know.
It's possible it's the same as mine.
It is. First drama?
I said favorite drama was Pig.
Me too.
Starring Nicolas
Oh,
Cage.
okay. All right.
Which would put your runner-up as The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
That's correct.
Wow, there
That's
you go.
correct.
Yeah.
Did you watch that movie?
I have not.
Oh, I think you'll
I
like
have
it.
not.
I
Yeah.
think you'll enjoy it. It's the second lead is the guy from Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Pedro
And he's amazing.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal. Yeah.
And when
Pedro or is it Pablo? Pedro.
Pedro. When they come across,
That's That's Brad at every Mexican
Yes,
restaurant.
it is.
is it Pedro or
Is it
Pablo?
Pedro or Pablo? I
He-
don't want it spicy.
He put
You know
sour
what?
cream.
Tell Ray your because this is another great little window into Brad. Tell him your.
I was out for lunch at a Mexican restaurant with two friends, one of whom is black and one of whom is, also white.
Okay.
Darker features than me. And the waiter came out with our food and set the food down in front of our black friend and said, "Caliente, amigo." And he put it down in front of our other white friend and said, "Caliente, amigo." And then he put my food down in front of me and said, "Hot plate, sir."
How funny is that?
That's great.
And we all noticed it, and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
And so, we're munching on our meals, and then all of a sudden, like my friend set down his fork, and he's like, "Did anyone else notice?" I'm like, "Yes, I noticed."
Isn't that such a beautiful picture of real life comedy?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
It's
beautiful.
amazing.
I really do love that.
But yeah.
That's my favorite comedy of the year.
But I was going to
Yeah.
say, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. When Nicolas Cage sees the Nicolas Cage Museum that Pedro Pascal has built in this movie, it's just so perfectly for probably our age group.
But yeah.
And Nicolas Cage often talks to himself, and he's kind of Nicolas Cage from like the early 90s. And it's like them side by side. And one of them being like, "Don't you know who you are?" And it's really, really well done. But Pig, you saw Pig.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I loved Pig. I
Yeah.
thought it was just
Very
like
good.
incredibly well done. And I think that's, Pig, along with movies like Knives Out, really represent filmmaking to me, where it's like, it's not really about anything other than here's this story, here are these characters, let's let this world evolve. And that's really what I love about filmmaking. So Pig really represents that.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Did you have best drama?
I do. And it's tough because I really went back and forth on whether or not to make this my best drama.
Right.
One because there's genuinely funny moments in it.
Yeah.
It does have comedy, but I'm going to say it's a drama that has comedy in it.
Okay.
And two, it's a recent film, so it's hard for me to kind of separate how much I like it right now
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
things I saw months and months and months
I
ago.
know, I agree.
But I looked at everything that was out, and I have this horrible feeling that I forgot things and I left things out.
Half the fun.
Me too.
Well, I don't have the spreadsheet-ism that you guys
I don't have it either.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't do
yeah.
that. I just had to kind of go off of what I remember.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Man, if we get the intern for Funbearable, I need an intern that's like a
Here's
diarist.
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
okay, yeah.
Where I can just call them at any hour of the day or night and just be like, I just saw Cool World. I vaguely remembered it as a child, so not very good. kind of horny. Just write that. Right? Not very good. Now I'm kind of horny. No, not the movie. Me. All right. All right. I'll talk. Yeah. No. All right. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Bye.
Hey, bye, Brad.
Bye, Brad.
Log into Ray's letterboxd account.
And I just hang up and I go, I'm fucking horny.
Then he hangs up and he goes, I thought they said diarrheaist.
All right, I'll try and write it.
How many tags? Come on, let's keep doing tags.
But my favorite drama, I think I have to give it to this. I'm so in the air, and I'm just gonna give it to this. Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, you told me about this.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Again, another writer director that I adore.
Yeah.
That of course I'm not remembering his name because I'm a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Should have looked it up. Why didn't I?
I think it was George Lucas.
No, I don't think. What if it was about Banshee? What if they're on the island, but like they all represent like the Irish Civil War? I don't know. Is that a thing? Could that be?
Sure. What are the ages you want our female characters to be, George?
Young?
Like maybe 9?
Well, she's a full-grown sexually active adult, so 12. Who's that girl from 8th grade? No, Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
I really do love that writer-director, and it's killing me that I can't remember his name. I'm stalling a little bit to try.
Yeah.
Whatever. If
Yeah.
you're listening or watching, just Google him.
Yeah.
He did Seven Psychopaths.
Oh, I love Seven Psychopaths.
Yeah, and he did In Bruges,
yeah.
which
I
is
haven't
the big
seen In
one.
Bruges.
Oh, you got to see In Bruges.
I haven't seen In
You
Bruges.
gotta see it.
I haven't seen it in ages.
Yeah.
I think that was a Netflix disc movie for me.
I'll watch
wow,
all 3
yeah.
one day. You want to watch all 3? We'll watch all 3.
I will do that. I will do that.
We
You
have
will be
6
so
Mission
depressed.
Impossibles to watch.
It's true.
And all the Ernest films.
That's true.
Ernest Impossible.
Yes.
It falls on one man.
My mission, should I choose to accept it.
Should I choose to accept it?
My mission. Should I choose to accept
choose to accept
Already self-destructing because he's taking so long vamping.
Ethan Hunt is my name. Ernest Hunt. That's really fun. Yeah.
that's really
Yeah, you know what? It starts. There's a message for an E Hunt at a hotel lobby.
It's a switch. And then wait, so he gets it, and then Tom Cruise goes up to his mailbox and opens it, goes, huh, and he walks away.
Tom Cruise opens it and it's baloney. Right? He just closes it.
It's the other one. They switched the package.
Yeah, it's a mix-up. And then Ernest is Mission Impossible Ethan Hunt. That's amazing.
Tom Cruise gets an invitation.
own stunts.
Tom Cruise opens it. It's an invitation to the Poutine Indulgence Festival.
That's where he was headed. Yeah. Oh man, Ernest Impossible is fucking delightful.
And Ernest saves the world.
Yeah.
But Ethan Hunt totally screws up the big keynote speech.
Yeah.
At the Poutine Indulgence.
He gets all
Festival.
Scientology on it.
Yeah.
They're like, we're here for the warm soup of potato. But no, Banshees of Inisherin, so great.
Yep.
And I was really excited to see this movie because I knew the writer-director is phenomenal. He started out as a stage writer, for like a playwright.
Right.
Has done a lot of stuff. I would kill to see some of the plays that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard nothing but like really amazing stuff about some of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have very strange names. They sound like horror titles, but they're not.
Yeah.
And I was very excited for the movie because it was a return to the pairing of oh my god, my brain is completely gone. I should have written all of these.
Colin
things down. Colin Farrell and something Gleason,
Jackie.
not Jackie Gleason.
No, it's not. It's. Is it another C name? I know who you mean. He was in Eternals.
He was
Yeah, I think so.
weird. It's Donald Gleason's father.
Oh, then he wasn't. It was
No,
a different
okay.
Gleason
No.
in Eternals.
But I really should have written these things down, and my brain is gone right now. And I'm sorry.
Is Chuck looking that up?
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, they starred in Bruges together.
Okay.
So, same writer director.
Dominic Gleason. Nope. Maybe.
Why
Maybe
did they scroll so far down? Brendan.
Brendan Gleeson. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate it. See, if we had that intern
Yep.
Yeah.
/ diarist.
/ diarrhea.
Yeah. Write down that made me horny too. Right? There's There's a stamp. They have to write it so often
just
for all
easier.
three of us.
It's just
they just
easier.
have a quick stamp.
Pig. Horny.
Yeah. What's this list? Why are there so many little stamps of a green M&M? That's for when it made us horny.
Yeah.
But no, so for them to come back together, amazing.
Yeah.
I think like I've talked to some people, like my mom saw the movie. She was like, I liked it, but it was too sad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
that kind of thing. It is like, hey, when you go into this thing, there's not a happy ending here.
Sure.
Yeah.
You will have some chuckles and it's sad.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
The dialogue's fantastic. Watching them act is just fun.
Yeah.
Colin Farrell is one of the best working actors today.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that. And it
Yeah.
won't be until he gets older
Yeah.
where people will recognize like really what he's doing. He does a phenomenal job in this movie. Barry Cohen.
That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That's who was in Eternals.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Barry Cohen, actor, phenomenal.
Yeah.
He was amazing. So it's just powerhouse performances. The actress that plays the sister, huge powerhouse. Like it's basically like, hey, there's 4 incredible fucking actors acting the shit out of this really beautifully written story, all shot on a gorgeous island
Right.
just off the coast of Ireland. And it really is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like there are frames of the movie that you could just pause and go, art, right?
Yeah.
Adore it. And then the fact that I'd say maybe like 15, 20 minutes into the movie, I turned to my wife and I was like, I think this is just all a metaphor for the Irish Civil War.
Okay.
And by the end of the movie, that bears out. And I think it's like that's a thing that certainly here in America, nobody talks about the Irish Civil
Yeah,
War.
right.
But it is a fascinating part of kind of relatively recent history.
Right.
And it's this idea of that all being so convoluted and complex.
Yeah.
That essentially it's like, what do you do with a country that had a civil war that they don't really have an ability to understand why it started or what they were doing?
Right.
We had a civil war.
Yep.
We know how that started. There are some people that argue why.
Right.
But we know what it was. We know what happened. And we did this. We tried to kind of move past that afterwards, right?
Right.
I think people, even the people who say they don't know why,
They know
They
why. Yeah.
know why.
But in Ireland, it really is just this horrible, like this caused that. And it all feels like retribution.
Yeah.
And I heard a fantastic quote about the Irish Civil War and Ireland in general, which was just Ireland has too much history
Oh, that makes sense.
in why, like,
Yeah.
all of this conflict happens. There's too much history. Very small island, a lot of shit's happened.
Yeah.
So, I Banshees of Inisherin, beautiful film. Love
Nice.
it. Tattoo it on my body.
Nice.
All right. Each frame, just
Too much. And then you have to get a jeweler's loop and look through it. And then I go like this.
oh no. Favorite thriller. I don't know if it counts as a thriller, but I did The Glass Onion.
Wow. I did Black Phone,
Ah, very nice.
which I loved.
I skipped Thriller.
Okay.
And I went instead with a different title for it.
Perfect.
Because I think it applies more. It is technically, I think, a thriller. It's not an action film. My favorite big IP movie,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Sure.
A huge intellectual property, right? Like
Yeah.
a character or whatever. The Batman.
All right.
Yeah.
That was my favorite thriller.
Yeah.
I think
Sure.
it is. It right? You'd
Yeah,
have to
I think so. I think
it's,
so.
It's the 7 of superhero movies.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Without
so
a
it's
doubt.
it's a thriller. But
I
yeah,
agree.
the Batman was great.
Yeah, there's a lot of great
I
stuff,
had zero expectation going into it. I only went to the theater to see it because I don't get to go to movies that often.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, have a child. And am a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
So if I'm most nights I'm doing comedy or whatever if I'm able to.
Right.
And then the idea of my wife and I getting time to go to a movie, that's like a once twice a year thing that we
Right.
get to do.
Yeah.
I only went because I was on the road with other comics and they were like, the Batman came out this weekend. Let's go see the Batman. Doug Key was there. Doug Key, Rob Pierce, Sam Ike. We were in Pennsylvania, just outside of Philly. Had a really good time. We were at Soul Joel's, great club. And and so Doug bought the tickets and then drove us to the wrong theater.
Ah, good.
And so we missed the first like 5 minutes of the movie.
Yep.
And then Doug went to see the movie again. And so he filmed the first 5 minutes on his phone.
That's very nice
And
of him.
texted it to us in a group text.
That's very,
Very
thoughtful.
fun.
So you heard that? Doug Key is a pirate. He stole 5 minutes of a movie. But no, I thought
He
it was,
wouldn't steal 5 minutes of a car.
you wouldn't steal 5 minutes of a house. But no, the Batman, I think it got. I think it was a little bit of a split. I think majoritively people liked it.
Yeah.
There were people that were just like, "Ugh, I'm not. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I understand, but like I like what the movie was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Me
I
too.
think it's easy to make fun of if you want to.
Yes.
Yeah,
you
me
can
too.
latch on. I am vengeance,
Yeah.
but it's like. But the point of the movie is at the end he figures out that's not what he is.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
like, and I liked the depth there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought Pattinson did a fucking good job.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the movie was.
And
Very-
Colin Farrell again.
I think
Yep.
that the movie was very well done. Colin Farrell was killer.
Yeah.
The idea of doing a big car chase kind of from the ground, like they were
Beautiful.
really filming it in a way that felt a lot more intimate than a lot of
Yeah.
that big stuff, was a triumph. And I thought that the idea of treating the Riddler more like a killer than just like a bad guy,
Yep.
was awesome. And I think a lot of the criticism was like the Catwoman romance was forced, which I understand. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I understand they kind of threw it in because it felt more necessary.
Yeah.
But in terms of building a new Batman world after the Nolan verse, very tough to pull off, and to pull it off that well is
And
huge.
John Turturro,
Killer.
great performance out of him too.
Yeah.
Like everybody did a really, really wonderful job in the movie, and I just liked it, and I liked what the director was doing, like the
Yes.
choice there, and also as a Batman nerd.
Yeah.
Like Batman was the comic that I read a lot.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Batman for a long time. It's like, no, that's my comic book. I read that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I really appreciate it. And I think going to this period of time for Batman is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not year one.
Nope.
It's a little bit on.
Yeah.
He's figured out a few things, and
Yeah.
but he's still working on it. So we can see new tools and toys. We can see new devices. We can see choices happening. Like with the Batmobile, we see in the background like this kind of iteration of him working on it. And
Right.
this is then all of a sudden the first reveal of it, right?
Yeah.
And that's all great because it's like, great, you've given him more challenge.
Exactly.
To overcome
When he
and
falls.
figure out. Yeah, when he falls and does all of that, that's fantastic. And I adore the idea of a Batcave under Wayne Enterprises,
Wayne, yeah.
the building.
Yeah.
Wayne Towers or whatever.
Yeah.
I love that idea because even as a kid, I was always like, but his Batcave is like way outside of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like if something happens,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, oh, the Joker is at the big gala and he's shooting somebody every 60
The
seconds.
Joker
yeah.
is at the Poutine Indulgence Festival.
The Joker is at the Poutine Indulgence. What? Let him do it. Okay. All right. No, he said it's fine. Right. So I always was bothered by the idea of like, he's like at least 15 minutes out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So having it be under there, I thought that was really, really fantastic. So yeah, I liked a lot of stuff going on. And
Me too.
also, isn't it fun to see Batman, the world's greatest detective, solve a crime?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was great. So
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was my my favorite thriller.
Nice.
I had two runners up, which were just Barbarian, which is like half thriller, half horror.
Yep.
Because for so much of the movie, it's just tension. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then Hush, which is not a movie a lot of people know about, but it's about this deaf woman in a cabin in the woods, and this guy comes to terrorize her. And whenever you see things through her eyes, there's just no audio at all. There's nothing.
Sure, yeah,
And there's
yeah.
a part where she's in the bathroom and she's waiting for him to come in, and you start seeing the ceiling start caving in behind her, and she has no idea. And
Yeah.
it's like, I thought it was really well done, and again, kind of goes with what I like about filmmaking, which
Mm-hmm.
is a story, and you just let the characters live in the story.
Nice.
But good stuff.
Yeah.
Best horror. I put The Black Phone under best horror, written based on a short story by Joe Hill, directed
Yep.
by Scott Derrickson, starring Ethan Hawke. Just a kidnapping case with supernatural elements.
Yep.
And scary because it's
loved it.
I think having it set in the time frame it was set, late 70s presumably, adds a realism to the idea that kids can get snatched.
Yeah.
And that, somewhat with the helicopter parenting and lawnmower parenting and all that seems so unlikely now that you kind of have to set a movie like that back then.
Yeah, see, Kalina and I, my wife and
Yeah.
I, we believe in steam cleaner parenting.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
straight them out,
Yeah. Put some pressure on him.
put some pressure on them. Thank you so much. I ran out. I was like,
Heat him up. You got to heat him up.
burn them?
Did you have a horror film that you enjoyed?
Yeah, I think it's an obvious one. Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a horror like
Yeah.
You know, it's less a horror than like Us.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Right. The monkey scene is like a horror film.
the monkey scene. That's why it's in my list.
Yeah, I know.
because
Yeah.
I think some of the other stuff. What I appreciate the most out of Nope is that it's fucking new and different and
Yeah,
interesting.
me
And
too.
when I left the theater with my wife, that was one of the few we got to go see. We talked about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And I love a movie where I get to go home and I get to unpack it. And
Yeah,
I get to go,
yeah.
Ooh, what did this mean?
I
You know, and
know.
do that stuff.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate it. And over time, my appreciation of it hasn't dropped.
Yeah. Right.
Which I thought it could. I thought leaving Nope with the big concept that's there.
Yes.
I could walk away and then 6 months later go, you know what? You know, like, what are
Right.
we doing? And that happens often.
Yeah.
But it stayed and it worked, and I appreciate what was going on there. There's so much. I think that's the issue. Is like Get Out, which is what it gets compared to all the time because it's Jordan Peele, and Get Out is a masterpiece. I love it.
Yeah.
Get Out's message is singular.
Yes.
Nope's message, it's not a message movie. It's a movie that he wanted to make that has many different themes happening in it. It's not, so it's hard to compare when Get Out is such a singular theme.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a movie where it's like, there's the message,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Which is not usual for most movies.
Right.
Right.
In general.
Right.
And then Nope is more ambiguous.
Right.
I think that's where people really struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the ride that the movie took me on.
Yeah.
But that fucking chimp scene
Yep.
is, like I said it when I left the theater.
Yeah.
I will say it still. It is one of the most uncomfortable moments I've ever had sitting in a movie theater.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
killer.
I was so upset watching it just
Yeah.
internally.
Yeah.
Like I was uncomfortable. I didn't want to be there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
those
No, it's
feelings are
killer.
going through you.
Yeah.
And props to Jordan Peele. Like the joke of the cliche of like, oh, you see Jaws when you're a kid and you're scared to go in the water.
Yeah.
Right. And people can still be scared of, oh, I don't want to go in the ocean. Jaws scarred
Right.
me for life. I'm never gonna get to enjoy a fucking chimp ever again.
Yeah.
It's true. I've seen like videos of like chimps, like this chimp is seeing its handler from 20 years ago again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they jump up and they give him a hug. And I'm just like, it's gonna rip your fucking face off, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it still is with me.
Yeah.
Did it affect you
It
guys
was,
that
it
way?
was perfect. It was awesome. I thought that scene was perfect.
Yeah. Brad?
I was
You're
disturbed.
quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's because I have so many chimp-like qualities.
I was gonna say features.
Brow, longer arms,
People don't like making eye contact.
They don't.
It gets you aggressive.
balloons frighten me. No, I enjoyed Nope quite a bit, but I saw it at home, like well lit. Like I'm
okay.
pausing it when
Yeah.
I'm too scared or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do remember hearing.
your
I
breath.
wish I could remember where it was. There were two like early 20s ish, relatively attractive women talking about the movie Nope. And at this point, I had already seen it, and they're like, I didn't like it. I thought, like, I get the point of what he was going for. And I'm like, I'm automatically tuning you out.
Yeah.
Because I know that you don't get it. And then
So
I'm like,
you-
I don't want to be a snob.
You slowly backed out of those bushes you were hiding. in.
Yeah. And I was
Right.
like, what am I even here for? I put my
Yeah.
stepladder away.
Yeah.
I took my Chuck mask off.
Yep.
And no, it was.
You got to stop taking Chuck's Chuck mask. Yeah. You know he uses that when he masturbates.
I do. What was your favorite horror film?
I put X. I really liked X, and I watched it for the first time this year, and I appreciated the idea of that different direction for a movie that feels like this.
Yeah.
It's a different direction.
And it's a prequel, right? Because
It's-
later on it was X versus Sever.
Yes, that's right.
Wow. Wow. Like going back to 2002 for that one.
I think I might have referenced that once before on Funbearable. And you want to know a really fun part? Never saw the movie. It's just one of those titles where I'm like, this is peak dumb action movie.
Yeah.
Like it's peak. I don't know. Take two people we know and put them in the movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So that was my top.
Ballistic X versus Sever versus Ernest.
Yes.
Ooh. Now X isn't it? It is a prequel though, right?
I don't know if it's
or no.
Is Pearl
Pearl's the prequel.
Pearl's a
Yeah.
prequel. Yeah.
Sorry.
Did you see X?
I didn't see X.
Oh, you'll like it.
Yeah.
I know how you feel about movies usually. I think you'll really enjoy this.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
I'll
I
check
don't want
it
to
out,
say much about it, but
Okay.
I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
Best animated / family film. I wrote down Encanto.
This is where I put Chippendale reboot, which I thought was
I
incredible.
thought about it there, but I wanted to get them both in.
Yeah,
So,
no, I hear you.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see Encanto. I put Chippendale for mine.
I don't have one. It's one of those categories. I think I've just seen so much
Yep.
with
Oh, really?
Finn.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also really hard because I'm biased at this point. It's really hard for me to gauge accurately how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So many things that I'll see that are like family based where I'm just like, oh, thank God it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like, there's stuff here for me.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. You know, like that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Plus, we've seen so many older like
Yeah.
family movies lately.
Apple
sure.
Dumpling Gang. The Apple Dumpling Gang rides again.
We did
The Poutine Dumpling Gang.
Return of the Curse.
So they have
It was the
diabetes.
Poutine,
It's
the
bad.
Poutine Indulgence Dumpling
Yeah.
Gang.
You know what I didn't like about that movie? The sound design.
Yep.
So much like, let's go over here. Hard nose breathing, right?
Lot
Take
of
a look at this, Sally.
Best or favorite action movie.
Woo-wee.
That's a hard one.
There was
was.
a tough one for me. So
I said Top Gun Maverick. Which
Top Gun Maverick.
Chuck and I saw in theaters and enjoyed immensely.
Yeah. Top Gun Maverick and Nobody were my runners up because I didn't see Nobody until this year and I loved it. Ambulance was my favorite action movie of the year. I just loved it.
Snuck in under the wire. We watched
Yeah,
it on like the 30th. Of
And I was
December.
trying to compare it to Top Gun, and Top Gun felt so much more like a well-told classic Hollywood movie, and Ambulance felt so much more like a new experiment in action films
Okay.
that I kind of put it at the top.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's fair.
How about you?
I have instead a slightly different category. for
Okay.
this, right?
Yeah.
You said I should do these.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I can't tell because you smile and I'm not sure if you're smiling.
Oh, I
like,
don't care.
Fuck you. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm paranoid. I have, instead of best action movie, biggest letdown.
Ooh.
We used to have Biggest Letdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad shaved it.
Which is an action movie. The Gray Man.
Oh, yeah.
The Gray Man, the Netflix
Yep. I
didn't see
produced
it. Yeah,
movie.
Yeah.
It's an action movie. It is, by the trailer, it's like we are straight up 100% action
So
movie.
Russo brothers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to give you action du jour. Here we go.
Yep.
And for the cast that's involved,
Right.
I like Chris Evans a lot. I'm a fan of Chris Evans. I love Ryan Gosling. I think he's phenomenal. I think he should be in more.
Right.
I think he's super fucking funny. The Nice Guys is a movie
Oh,
that
fantastic.
should. Oh, I'm so upset that The Nice Guys bombed.
Yeah.
Or not bombed, but it flopped.
Right.
Nice Guys flopped. Kills me.
Yeah.
Kills me. It's a buddy comedy. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
I have. I want to see it again because I don't remember it super clearly, but I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah, and same writer. Oh my God, I love that movie so much. The writer is
Shane Black.
Shane Black.
Yeah.
All I wanted to say was Jack Black. I loved Shane Black. He's great.
Yeah.
But so you have Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans. You've got a supporting cast that's big,
Right.
as well. And you have the directors of the biggest franchise ever,
Right.
the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
How could this? And it's like, yeah, it's a Netflix produced movie, and so far, Netflix produced means, meh. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Notoriously that.
Yeah.
We'll get to another issue with that in a minute. But that movie, I was like, I'm worried going into
Right.
it. And it, unfortunately, it bore out. It's nothing. There's just nothing happening. And I think because there's such good people in it,
Yeah.
and it's made by good filmmakers,
Yeah.
that's why it bothered me so much.
Okay.
If it wasn't them making it and it wasn't the people in it, I'd be like, okay, fine, whatever. This is
Yeah.
just it's not great.
Right.
But I was
I
so
know what you mean.
frustrated, and it's also, if there was another award category, I would put put that fucking drone camera down. That would go with the Gray Man as well. They overused drone shots to a degree that was laughable.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Gray Man, I get frustrated when you have great people all together, and I go, come on, the camera's running. Like, make a good thing here.
Right.
You know what
I know.
Yeah, so that's that. But I will bounce off of it and say best surprise
All right.
We used to have that too. Brad shaved it.
was White Noise, which I just saw very recently. It just came out.
Yep.
It still counts for 2022.
Right.
That is a Netflix film.
Yep.
Going in, I was like, Netflix production. I don't know. And it is one of my favorite movies of the year.
Right.
I adore that movie so much.
Yeah.
It's doing something different, and I really like what Noah Baumbach is going for in that movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Adam Driver's performance is killer. So
He's great.
I don't want to sound just negative, so that was a positive.
We had our favorite epic action movie.
Which is probably similar to your best IP. That's usually what we do with
Okay,
epic
gotcha,
action. You know what I mean?
gotcha.
It's usually
Yeah.
superhero movies and
Sure.
that kind of stuff.
The Batman's tough though. 'Cause
I went with the Batman.
Yeah.
I went with a tie between the Batman and Thor 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I liked Ragnarok more than Thor Love and Thunder.
Yep.
And I really did like the Batman a lot, but it probably didn't capture me as much as Dark Knight or the previous Batman entries. So I looked at them both as being like, these are really good.
Yeah.
But picking between them in terms of which one's better, I'm like, they're so different that I think it's a tie for me.
All right. That makes sense.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Favorite actor? I went with Nicolas Cage's performance in Pig, which it's weird because I'm looking at this and I'm like, so many of these were movies we watched in like the first half of the year.
Yeah.
And Pig we watched I think in January,
Yeah, we did.
and just lived with that Nicolas Cage acting job all year long, and I thought it was. Nicolas Cage, at least in my mind, had been somewhat of a punchline.
Yeah.
Because he infamously is taking roles to pay off tax debt, and is kind of phoning in that performance. But Pig was like, oh right, he won an actual Oscar, not just a Funbosker.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is kind of about that.
Yeah.
For
I don't
him.
want to talk about that movie anymore because I'm upset because I had to throw away a fantastic title. It was going to be the Funbearable Weight.
Yeah.
Anyway.
we're working on a sequel, but it's like Chuck is writing it, and so far you and I are not in it.
I know.
It's 90
There
pages
are
in.
3 Chucks though.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of character.
Terrible. Chucky, did you have a favorite actor?
No, I didn't. But do you have a favorite actor, Ray?
I looked at my screen for so long trying
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah.
The prospect of choosing a favorite actor
Yeah.
of the year is so difficult.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, do I go off of who I would want to win the Oscar that year?
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Maybe, but not. Also, not. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it really is. That's a really hard one. to
I didn't
answer.
really pick one. I think my answer would be maybe Ethan Hawke, because the fact that he focuses on doing things like Black Phone, he also launched the Purge series just because he believed in it. Same thing with Black Phone.
Yeah.
He just like
Yeah.
is like, I'm going to lend my name to this. And his performance in Black Phone, I think, is so good. But I really don't have a favorite actor. Or actress.
I also like Bob Odenkirk in Nobody.
Oh, the best.
He was
Killer.
It was excellent.
But I do have two. I have two little categories I
To
added.
co-sign on Ethan Hawke really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people have seen the show. It's just a mini series because it was on, I think maybe Showtime.
Okay.
The Good Lord Bird is a
I don't know
mini
anything
series.
about it.
No.
Watch The Good Lord Bird. It's based on a novel, and it's also based on a real guy who fought slavery.
Wow.
Who was an abolitionist and also kind of crazy.
Good.
And it's a phenomenal miniseries. It's so good that I got the book. My wife read the book. I read the book. It's so. The Good Lord Bird. I can't remember if it came out right at the beginning of this year or right at the end of last year. One of my favorite of whatever year it was. So fucking good. And Ethan Hawke's performance in that is a performance where I go, oh, you are fucking top tier,
Yeah.
right? Like, good Lord, Good Lord Bird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I highly recommend Good
All right.
Lord Bird. Seek it out. I think it was on Showtime, and unfortunately, I think stuff like that just
Gets lost.
Yeah, it
Right.
does get lost,
I know.
especially Showtime, because you look at Showtime, and you're like, what?
You're like, well,
You
I have
know?
HBO.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know. I think Ethan Hawke is really interesting because he's been in so much stuff, and no one is like, oh yeah, Ethan Hawke sucks in that. There's no one that says
No,
that.
no.
Right.
But he's not one of those Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise people. And it's like, I know that he just loves film because he's done the entire gamut and continues to go back and
Yeah.
forth from
he's
big
a
to
child
small.
actor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's amazing. And
There-
he's
there's a whole-
still got it.
There's an interview with him, and they talked to him about like Marvel movies and stuff.
Yes, I
and
remember that.
The way he's so positive about it,
Yep.
but also comes at it from like a real like filmmaking is important stance.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy rules.
Oh, he's the best. He's
Yeah.
absolutely the best. He's so good that I give Maya Hawke a pass on Nepo Baby.
Yeah, for
Where
sure.
I'm like, nah, you're fine. You're
Yeah,
fine.
of course.
But no, again, Good Lord Bird.
Yeah.
Please watch that. He is doing a performance in that that's like fucking world ending. I love it.
You know what's weird? Maya Hawke made a music video this year where her boob is in it. Did you see this?
Why do you have to do
Well,
that?
hold on.
Yes, I did see
But there's
it.
an orgy scene and her brother's in it.
Okay.
Isn't that weird? If I was ever going to do an orgy scene, I wouldn't have anyone in my family in the orgy.
That's good to know.
Would you?
I would have your entire family in it. It's gonna make Thanksgiving pretty awkward.
But why have the brother in the orgy? I say no.
Listen, I'm an only child. I'm fine. I would do an orgy with Maya Hawke's brother in it. I don't care.
I have an orgy movie planned. It's called the Poutine Indulgence Festival.
I thought it was the screenplay for the
Funbearable
Funbearable Weight
Weight
of
of
Being. Yeah. And then
you're-
Chuck slowly caresses Chuck
Chuck slowly eats poutine. The two categories I
out
added,
of.
There's no slow about it.
He puts the poo in poutine.
Two categories you have.
Yeah.
before I get to favorite movie, I have older movie I should have seen before,
Yeah.
and I have three, which are Empire Records.
Ah, love
Oh,
it.
yeah,
This
yeah,
year, Escape from New York,
Yep.
and Big Trouble in Little China, which Brad and I watched those
Heck yeah.
two
Back to
together.
back as I was on the couch recovering.
And
I
that
love
was
it.
really fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And we were like really just talking about why we like these old movies.
Yeah.
And how, and I don't know how you feel about this, but it used to be like in like, let's say pre 1999, 1998, there used to be a belief with movies where I think people were like, yeah, suspension of disbelief, Escape from New York, where I think you can't make that movie today without someone laughing at it.
I mean, that's tough because, like,
There's some level of cheese that was acceptable for a while that is no longer acceptable.
it's hard though because at that time,
Yeah.
what I always try and remember with like older movies,
Mm-hmm.
like the 80s, because that came out in the 80s.
Yes.
The 80s, modern cinema had been around for 10 to 15 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Modern cinema didn't start until the 70s.
Yeah.
And so that cheesiness that we saw in the 80s was everything getting figured out.
Sure.
And the birth of home video.
Right.
Yes.
Because pre the 80s,
There was no way to do it.
you only saw movies in the cinema.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. So when you're going there, you're referencing stuff like the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
Everything's brand new.
Yes.
So John Carpenter doing Escape from New York, people are like, yeah, I'm in, and you're going to tell a story. You know what I mean? Because everything is untrodden ground.
Right. For
Does
sure.
that make sense?
Completely.
So yeah, so I think cheese back then wasn't cheese.
I know.
So to do it now and say, oh, it would be cheesy now, it's cheesy now because it already happened. Does that make sense?
I think-
Anyway, we're getting into the weeds about
I
it.
think that there's a little bit of that. I mean, I think there is that with the already happy thing, but I think that even if you did a movie that was completely different, that just was like, well, you're really going to have to suspend your disbelief
yeah.
for this. I think you're just not allowed to do it unless you're doing some
I don't
sort
know.
of.
I would have to.
It's weird.
I
Fast
would
and
have
Furious
to figure
is-
out what that is, though.
Fast and Furious is a version of it.
Yeah.
But like we've
And
talked
it's
about
huge.
before, because they go in knowing.
Right,
And it's a
right.
little bit more reflective than something like Escape from New York, which is a
Yeah.
little bit more pure.
But I would argue the reason that they know
Is
is because
because
it's
Escape from
post
already
that stuff,
existed.
Right.
and that is
Exactly.
during. Right? Yeah. Okay.
It's
We
interesting.
figured it out. We did it.
It's interesting. And then my other extra category that we used to always do is the Independent Spirit Award.
Yep.
And it has nothing to do with the actual award. It's just movies that came from a very unique place. And not that I loved this, but I really respected what they did with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing.
Yes.
Because they kind of made what I would refer to as like a small chapter in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series. And unfortunately, they billed it like a brand new movie, but it felt so tiny and so insular that I understand why people shit all over it. But as like a side thing, I think it's very fun. I felt the same way about Spirited in terms of being just a very unique idea of like, let's do this, let's make this a musical, let's do a brand new Christmas thing that's from behind the scenes of the ghosts.
Right.
Love that. And the final one was 8-Bit Christmas, which I thought was excellent.
I thought that was great too. Yeah.
Really like surprisingly good.
I thought, but that came out last year.
it did, but I didn't see it until January.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. But that would have been my best family one because we just watched it again for this Christmas.
Isn't it so
And this
good?
time rewatching it, I was like, you did a great job on this. Yeah.
Right?
There's no, you're not shortchanging us. You're not going for like the easy out. The only thing I don't like is at the end, they do a little bit of sadness. And I don't like the sadness because it's directly the person in the family that is me in my family, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like they really were like, hey, let's do a new Christmas story.
Yeah.
We'll make it kind of updated for the people that are our age now, because they're talking about the original Nintendo.
Yeah.
And let's just make it really good.
Yeah,
They're not
and-
focused on like let's completely do something unexpected. They're like, let's just make it great. Steve Zahn.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
Zahn's killer, and I think the best part about it is there's just enough 80s.
Yeah.
It doesn't over 80s it.
Yes.
It doesn't go, whoa, we're back here.
Yes,
Right? It doesn't
yes.
do that. And
Yes.
also the kid actor, he's great.
Yep.
He was
A bunch of the
in-
kids are great.
They are, yeah. But the main kid,
Yeah.
he was the actor in another kids movie recently as well that my son really enjoyed. That of course I'm not remembering because it's a specific child's name as the
Yeah,
title.
yeah.
And if you ask me, a parent of an 8-year-old,
Yeah.
what property has these specific names, I'll get a nosebleed and start crying.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you then.
All right, I
Tommy
have-
Stinkleton.
Oh fuck, that's what it was. I have two categories as well before we get to the best.
Perfect.
They're very quick. So I'm going to say the best movie I saw this year until the last 10 minutes
Okay.
is a movie called Men.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
see the. Yeah, that's right. You
By the
told
way,
me.
we used to
Yeah.
have a category called Close But No Cigar.
I'll give it that.
That's what it
I will
is.
give it that.
I love the idea that you cut out all the categories and he brought back every single one.
I
Close to you,
don't
probably.
know because I asked you guys to remove most titillating nude scene.
That's why I brought up my Hawks
Yeah.
music video.
And it keeps saying, like, I'm looking at the list here and it says
Yep.
in brackets, every year we give it to Schindler's List. That's
We-
fucked
we-
up.
The
Can
heart
I be honest?
wants
It's fucked up.
what it wants.
I will say we did poop. No one brought up a poopiest turd. That was the name of the category that Brad
For
came up with.
worst,
for the-
worst movie.
I thought that was you, like, as a kid swearing, like, you think that's the worst swear in the world. Poopiest
turd.
turd. No, he says it quiet. He says, poopiest turd.
What'd you say in there, Bradley?
Nothing. And then, but no, Men was like really, really well done.
Yeah.
I know.
I've always been a fan of the actor that is playing Men.
Man.
Yeah.
And I love the actress. She has popped up, of course. Don't remember her name right now. I'm fucking anti IMDb tonight. I apologize. I'm Ray MDB. What?
I watch a show about you as a doctor.
A movie doctor.
Ray MDB.
It's me with a stethoscope holding it up to a copy of Gray Man, and I'm just call it.
Jesse Buckley and Rory Kinnear.
Yeah, Rory Kinnear, great British actor,
Yeah.
very funny.
Yeah.
And Jesse Buckley is phenomenal. Holy God.
I do want to see it. I know you don't love the ending, but I want to see it.
She is an incredible actress. Like, I get excited if I see her in something.
Yeah.
And she's one of those people. My wife and I like to do this. We like to find these people where we go, I think this is going to be a fun actor to watch get older.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
yeah,
I mean?
sure.
I just said that about Colin Farrell earlier.
Oh.
Jesse Buckley is so good. She was in I'm Thinking of Ending Things. That came out on Netflix as well. Really good. I really enjoyed that movie. That could also count for the last 10 minutes of like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Men, it's very, again, The message is clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of critics would be like, yeah, you took a sledgehammer to that very tiny nail, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. I appreciate what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The movie is impeccably shot and produced and made, and like the ride is really, really great. And
Yeah.
it is like uncomfortable, and there's like horror elements going on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And some terrible CGI and some great CGI to make the men
Yeah.
work. And then the last 10 minutes, it really is just like, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Enough, right?
Yeah.
So that's that one. And then the last is the best surprise movie that I thought was going to be total generic trash that I ended up adoring, which was Vengeance. I brought this up on one of the bonuses.
Yes.
BJ Novak's movie that came out this year.
Yep.
Starring BJ Novak.
Yes.
And Ashton Kutcher. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like so good.
Yeah,
like
I remember you saying that.
I remember looking at this like this is going to be a very generic
Yeah.
light comedy.
Right.
And it's really, really well done. And
Yeah.
I was very surprised with Vengeance, and I'm happy that he made that movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's great. I got to see it. You have a favorite actress, Brad?
I have favorite actress, and she ties into my favorite overall film.
All right. What's your favorite overall film?
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Same here.
With Michelle
Shit.
Yeoh. Yep.
What's yours?
It's that. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
And my runner-up is Glass Onion.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I like it.
I thought Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I've never seen a film like it, and I suspect I will see a lot of attempts to duplicate what it brought to the table.
Yeah.
Can
But
we call it EEAAO?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And yes, and just what a crazy theater experience to be a part of. You know, and I had seen the hype online, social media, no spoilers other than
too.
like, oh, I've seen the trailer, and going in and thinking, like preparing to be like what's the word? Contrarian about it, and to be like,
Oh, really?
it wasn't that good. And then 10 minutes in, I've got an EEAAO hat on,
Yeah.
and I'm all for it. I'm all in.
Who's that guy with the vowel crown?
Yes,
It was funny too because like I was seeing the hype build and build and build, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I got to see this, and it kept like building, and I'm like, I don't want to miss seeing this in theaters and get it spoiled.
Right.
And eventually, I was just like, I convinced Brad, Jordan, Michaela, and maybe someone else,
Right.
to a bunch of us to like, let's just go see it. None of us know anything right now.
Yeah.
Let's go see it before anything gets out, and we just fucking flipped.
Yeah.
And it was great because I don't want to spoil anything about it, but like the first 20 minutes of that movie purposely like overloads you and bombards you.
Sure, yeah.
And then they take you on this journey, and then they flip the journey upside down. And it's just to see something so elevated.
That's a great example. This isn't going to make sense to anybody else except for us because we were here before the recording started. That chaos,
Yeah.
that sense, that stress,
Yeah.
that level in the first 20 minutes, the cacophony that's happening
Right.
is intentional and carefully done and masterfully laid out, right?
yeah,
I was just bitching about Amsterdam,
Yes.
the movie that I watched last night.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact feelings by accident.
And that's when I was
that's
watching.
why, but that means like that's how hard it is to lay that out in a satisfactory way. You know
I
what
agree.
mean?
It's funny because I was hearing all this hype, and in the first 20 minutes, I was really feeling like they're really like bombarding you with this person's life and the minutia and all this stuff. And during it, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, if so many people liked this is intentional.
Yeah.
And this is what you're supposed to feel seeing through the eyes of this character.
Mm-hmm.
And to pay it off in so many different directions was just, I was shocked.
It's interesting. I went into it. Unfortunately, I don't believe I got to see it at the theater.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Either I did see it at the theater, but it was with my wife, and it was a while after it had come
Right.
out.
Yeah.
Or we saw it at home. I can't remember, and I'm
Right.
sorry. But I had high expectations for it. A, because of what I had been hearing, but also the filmmakers, the duo.
Yeah.
Again, can't remember their names. They have like an amalgam. They push
Right.
their names together. Or no, it's like they just call them like the Bobs or something.
Yeah,
like that. I can't remember.
yeah.
They are great.
Yeah.
I love them. And I knew going into it from everything people had been talking about, like it sounds It sounds like high concept. It
Right.
sounds snooty.
Yes.
Yes,
Snooty,
for sure.
snotty.
Both of them.
The
Yeah.
Daniels.
Yes, the Daniels. Thank you.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig and Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
And Daniel Day-Lewis is acting as Daniel Craig,
Yeah.
and you can't tell which one is really Daniel
Baffling.
Craig.
Method.
Yeah. Baffling. But
Baffling. It's such a funny adjective.
I walked into a room and they were both standing there and I was like, baffling.
Hey, Daniel.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
And I tried to trip him up. And I said, I loved your performance as Daniel Plainview. There will be blood.
Yeah.
And both of them went, what? Like that. And I was like, oh no. And they both talk like this. It's gravelly. But anyway, I knew going into it that it was from the Daniels.
Yeah.
And I really liked Swiss Army Man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that movie is
I know,
a movie
and I haven't
where
seen that yet.
Bonkers.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And when you look at the description, the synopsis of that movie, you go, "Oh, what? No, what?"
Yeah. How does that elevator pitch proceed?
Yes.
Yeah,
How does that
yeah,
not
yeah.
end with somebody diving off the elevator and then cutting the cable?
It's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
The premise
Right.
of that movie. And when you do see the movie, because you've seen it, you
Yeah.
have not seen it.
Yeah, I
when you
haven't.
do see it, all of that care and like amazing ability
Yeah.
that's in the Daniels in Everything Everywhere All at Once
Yeah.
is in Swiss Army Man.
Right. Yeah.
And by the end of that movie, you're like, this was fucking good.
Yeah.
What happened? Right? Like it's so good.
That's
and
what-
so I
that's-
knew going in, like, oh, they will handle this.
That's one of those things where it's like, when I saw the trailer for Swiss Army Man, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I'll see it sometime. And then after hearing the reviews, I can tell that it is a project kind of like Violent Night, where someone has a concept and they're like, yeah, but what if I just kill this across the board and make it great the whole way through? And that's kind of what I trust.
Sure, and with the Daniels, like their concept was like it's existential. Mm-hmm. There's a surreal aspect to it.
Yeah.
But there's this ethereal thing that they're touching on in that movie.
Yeah.
It's like what it means to exist.
Yeah.
You know, and I heard a fantastic not critique or I heard a fantastic take
Yeah.
on an aspect of the movie that I do want to share with you guys. It's about like the cacophony that's going on, right? Like you mentioned all of the chaos and that stress and how it's built.
Yeah.
It is a very loud movie. It's very fast. It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is the moment in the film where our character has that realization, the
Yeah.
aha moment
Yeah.
for the turn,
Yeah.
right? In any kind of story, hero's journey. In this movie, it is when everything stops. It's when the sound, the noise goes away,
Right.
the cacophony disappears, and we have two characters become rocks.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just rocks.
Yeah.
Sitting. Like all of the action and chaos stops.
Yeah.
And it's just existing on the edge of a cliff, just existing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't clock it that way until I heard somebody point that out. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And it's clearly intentional.
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
that
of course.
is what they are doing.
Yeah.
But it is this beautiful thing. It's another layer of commentary in the movie of like, hey, we live in chaos and cacophony.
Right.
It isn't until you shut all of the noise of all the bullshit around you. Guess what? Right now, we are part of the fucking noise.
Woo!
We're part of the bullshit. We're the hot dog fingers.
Yep.
I think if you had to pick anything of what we are and everywhere all at once is we're specifically Jamie Lee Curtis
Yes.
with the hot dog fingers.
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful message. I think that's a beautiful message to take away.
Yeah.
And it really is a fantastic movie. And also, speaking of actresses, Jamie Lee Curtis, phenomenal performance. I mean, everybody's killing it in that
Everybody
movie.
was
sure.
great.
I shouldn't just point out Jamie Lee Curtis, but I think the reason
Well,
I am
I know why you
is
are.
because I think she gets overlooked from all the other performances that are just smashing it in that movie.
Yeah.
And not only that, she's kind of like
And I feel bad I picked out the one white person. I
Well,
was
we
like,
brought
she
up
did good.
we brought up Ethan Hawke and the idea that this person appreciates film so much that they
Right.
see the value across the board.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what Jamie Lee Curtis did. Where she's in this movie, she's in Halloween Ends this year.
That's the thing is like she's
And-
known as the Halloween girl now, woman now because of all this stuff, and she's had so many Halloween movies coming out recently.
Yeah.
For her to do everything everywhere all at once is a nice reminder of like, hey, I'm actually a great actress.
Right.
And I'm
you
going
know?
to play a character who is supposed to be a side character and kind of an antagonist and
Yeah.
build. You know, it's the same thing to me.
Yeah, and she's really great in it because you're not watching a Halloween movie and walking away going, Jamie Lee Curtis's performance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's unfortunate, but that's what nobody's really feeling that with a movie like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Usually, yeah.
So to have her be able to showcase,
Oh yeah, it was killer.
wonderful.
And I also I don't want to seem like I'm shortchanging the project of Glass Onion. I loved Glass Onion. It's probably the movie that I spent the most time listening to the director talk about because
Sure.
Ryan Johnson did a bunch of really great interviews, including one with Mark Maron that was awesome about Glass Onion and Brick and Knives
Yeah,
Out and
yeah.
and Star Wars, everything he's done and kind of the whole journey.
I like Ryan Johnson a lot. Listening to him talk, those soft T's.
Oh yeah, he's a little. Yeah, he's a character. He has a big laugh. You know who he reminds me of? Spike Jonze.
Sure, yeah.
okay.
Spike Jonze.
But he has a specific speech thing
Yes.
that some people do have. I'm not saying it's just him.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But the T's cannot be pronounced.
Yeah.
So he'll be like, getting this scene to be happening was a little bit of a battle. And,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, all right, Ryan.
Well, one of the guys that works for me is Stephen Griss in Canada,
Yeah.
and he does that like all the time. Whenever he speaks, he does the skip over the T's thing. It's really interesting. But yeah, I really loved Glass Onion. Knives Out is still like I like it.
Yep.
I appreciate it a little bit more. I rewatched Brick this year too, which I haven't watched in a long time, and I really appreciate that. But Glass Onion was such a great, fun project, and in the same way that I appreciate Nope, as this guy has a vision, this guy has an idea, and he's big enough where they just say, "Okay, we'll do what you want."
Yeah.
is really something to look forward to in film because it doesn't always happen.
And especially where it was essentially a COVID project for him.
Right.
He was like, I guess I'll just write this while in
Yeah.
quarantine.
And if you haven't watched any videos that are like all the Easter eggs and stuff about Glass Onion, watch
Well
them.
worth it, yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? Special shout out. No best actor, but here's a new category. Somebody coming up and you go, hey, I like what you're doing.
Put a nickel
Good
in his
for
pocket,
you.
send him on his way.
The Nickel in His Pocket Award. The special Nickel in His Pocket Award.
Perfect. Good.
Dave Bautista.
Killer.
Yeah.
Come on.
He's the best.
I mean, he is doing. I heard a quote from him that I loved because it summed up how I feel about him. He said, I never set out to be the next Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Right.
I just want to be seen as a good fucking actor who is good at the fucking craft. Like he was swearing and he was upset about it. And it's true.
Yeah.
He's great.
He's so good. And he's one of those guys where I'm like, you are a legitimate actor and good at it.
Right. Yeah, for
and
sure.
I think coming from where he coming from wrestling,
Yep.
that's hard to say. Now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I'm not saying he's a bad actor.
Right.
But The Rock is The Rock.
Yes.
Right.
In everything starring The Rock.
Yes.
There's not a lot of range there. And there's also he is not interested in like, I'll take a back seat.
Right.
Yeah.
All that
Not
stuff.
yet. We'll see.
Yes, and maybe that'll happen. But
Yeah.
Dave Bautista has come out.
If you
Yeah.
smell what King Lear is cooking.
Poor Yorick. I knew him well, Horatio. yeah.
People's elbow.
Mick Foley's skull.
Oh, that's really fun. But no, Dave Bautista,
teeth in the
yeah,
front.
really, really fantastic.
Mick Foley's skull. Sorry.
And just before he finishes the monologue with the skull, what? Oh no, Stone Cold Steve Austin comes powering out.
And me and Brad are like,
Oh, holy shit! Hamlet's dad isn't dead. Oh Oh my god.
Theater purists burned down the West End. Chuck and Brad barely escape.
That's really funny. The Rock as Hamlet. That's fucking great.
The
Folks,
WWE produces Hamlet is what's the WWE presents Hamlet is what's funny.
The director of the stage play is in an interview, and they're like, I mean, Hamlet is one of the most done plays in history. There are adaptations that can take place everywhere from on the streets of Beverly Hills to a submarine during World War II. There ultimately wasn't anything left to do. So I said, fuck it. Why don't we do The Rock with it? That's new, right?
If they really did the WWE presents Hamlet and it was just balls to the wall crazy, like a comedy action thing,
Sure.
that would be fucking awesome.
Alexa
yeah.
Bliss is Ophelia.
Yeah.
It works.
God damn, that's
Trademark Funbearable.
Where are your
2023.
jibes now, Horatio?
Folks, that brings us to the end of part 1 of our favorite things of 2022.
Yeah.
What's the time
Part
check?
2 is oh yeah, what is it?
Right now, if we're going by minutes,
Yes.
it's 144
American minutes.
minutes.
All right.
God damn it. And part 2 is behind the paywall? Is that
Yeah, the Funbearable Patreon, $20
You're not
a
gonna believe
month.
this. You're gonna get 5 hours of Funbearable this week for free, baby. Woo!
I can't wait until we start charging people for it. I think it's really going to help.
the odd thing is it kind of is behind a paywall, but it's our time. Yes. And you can't get a refund.
Fortunately,
man.
I am unemployed, so my time.
What's that? Here comes The Rock in Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven.
Wow. Is he playing the Raven?
He's playing the put
bust of
upon
Pal-
man.
Oh,
You know
Yeah.
what's funny? So he does most of it, gets into a fight with a guy. He has him up for the rock bottom. He goes, "Quote the Raven."
In the pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber doors.
And then it goes to, former WWE superstar Raven being like, yeah, I could have.
I did this.
I
did a lot
this
of
is
this
who
stuff.
I was. This is my character.
Oh my
I
god!
went to camp with Tommy Dreamer.
And then they did the movie adaptation of the stage play.
Yes.
And the stage play director was going to direct the movie,
Right.
but he quit early on.
yeah, yeah.
And he said afterwards, he broke his NDA and said that he was so sick of saying constantly, stop looking at the camera. Because after every line of Shakespearean dialogue, The Rock would just go... like that, and he was like, "Why are you doing this?" He's like, "Well, nobody knows what this means, so I'm selling it."
Methinks thou dost protest too much this Sunday at the Alamo Dome. I'll see you in a steel cage. I don't know a lot of Shakespeare. But yeah, this ends part 1. We have some more stuff coming up.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a little break-a-roo.
Yeah.
And in the next one, we are a new category. Chuck was very adamant about
Yep.
this. We're going to do best adult video.
yeah.
It's weird.
And I already know Chuck wrote his own.
He sold it to a video store so that he could rent it from that same video store.
Legally, it's part of the list.
Yeah. We appreciate you all being on this journey with us. If you have things that we may have overlooked in 2022, let us know. funbearablepod@gmail.com or find us through the socials at funbearablepod. Always happy to hear from y'all.
Yeah.
For Chuck Staten and for Ray Harrington, I am Brad Rohr saying thank you so much for being here with us today, and we're sorry for being Funbearable.